oneself, by any stretch of the imagination, must involve far more than the conscious and voluntary aspects of our behavior. And if we see that it involves intimately and inescapably the behavior of what we call the other, the not-self, the environment, and see that these two are moving together like the two sides of the snake when it swims, then you get a very curious feeling. You have to be careful of it if you've got a Western background. Because this is what happens to a lot of people who play around with psychedelic chemicals. There are many, many cases of inflation among these people. That is to say, when you get this sensation that the two sides of the world, the inside and the outside, are moving together, you may think, I am ruling it. I am God in the Western sense of the word. Therefore, your ego, instead of being, as it were, integrated and transcended with all this process, merely assumes vast dimensions, has megalomania, is blown up by the mystical experience. And so you get the holier-than-thou people going around who seem to think that they're above all human conventions and have no obligations to anyone or anything, because they're divine and they can do as they damn please. What they haven't realized is that doing as you will isn't a new kind of behavior that you suddenly put on and say, from now on I'm going to go around doing as I will. You have to realize first that that's what you've always been doing. And you could look at this from a very simple point of view. It's not a complete point of view. But you can say, well, now what about the people who did good and who did the things that they didn't want to do? You know, everybody's mother said to us, darling, sometimes we have to do things we don't like. Well, what about that? Well, you can always say, the kid obeyed the mother and did the thing that it didn't like because that was the better part of wisdom. In other words, if it hadn't done that, something worse would have happened. And we choose the lesser of two evils. And when you find yourself in a situation where you have to choose the lesser of two evils, then you say, I want out of here. And you take the easiest way. You take the line of least resistance. So that's your doing. Now, you can pursue that more profoundly when you stop thinking about human behavior as something that responds to the compulsion of an environment. And you can get out of that when you see the behavior of the environment as an essential aspect of you. So it isn't, as it were, the environment starting something, which you are therefore compelled to follow. It's the whole system moving together. So then, you get in the state of liberated or mystical consciousness, you very often feel that a hill is lifting you up as you walk up it. The ground seems to heave beneath your feet, and up you go. And you get this strange feeling of lightness, of effortlessness. Walking on air, never a care, you know. This wonderful sense that there are no obstructions anywhere. There's nothing, as it were, banging you and making you do that. It all flows together. And that's a very common sense. You are actually, in that state of consciousness, you are perceiving the goings-on, the Tao, the course of nature, in the way it's happening. But in the ordinary way, you've been conditioned to resist it, to fight it, and to use those sensations of resistance to create a sensory basis for what you describe as the ego. The ego, in practice, is a sense of strain. When you are aware of I, you are aware of a basic discomfort, which is located basically between the eyes, somewhere in here, a sort of tightness. Also, it's in other centers too. It's in the solar plexus, and there are various physical centers, in other words, where this Constant tension or resistance against it is going on. And that's what you feel when you talk about I. When that tension ceases, you discover immediately that the separate ego has disappeared, and that what I refers to is simply the total panorama of experience, everything that's happening. That's I. And obviously I don't know all of it, because I can't inspect all of it with my radar, with my conscious attention. That would be a ridiculous undertaking, to know everything in that sense. We know it in a much better way, as we know how to grow hair and open and close our hands. So, this point of view can be understood if we clarify the initial problems we have about it. And I suppose the first problem is, if we accept the notion that everything that happens to us is our own karma, our own doing, then we have to be very careful of, shall we say, the devil of omnipotence, of inflation, of feeling that your ego is what is in control of all this. And the second thing is, if you think then that everything that happens to everybody is what they really want to happen, then you can absolve yourself from any qualms about being unkind to someone, because you could say, well, the unkindness I did you was what you really wanted, wasn't it? You know that business about the responsibility of the person who gets murdered for getting murdered? There is a curious sense in which a lot of people go around looking for trouble. Freud pointed out quite correctly the psychology of accident-prone individuals. They seem to be attracting trouble like lights attract moths. And we're all doing that, but we manage to remain unconscious of it, so that we can praise and blame and play the game which says, that's not my fault, that's your fault. And so we go around apportioning faults to everybody. Because if we're going to apportion praise for what the good things people do, you can't make praise mean anything unless you also go around blaming. Praise and blame go together. Supposing everybody was acting in a praiseworthy way, and we praised everybody for everything, they'd get tired of it. They wouldn't even notice it anymore. So long as you're going to get a kick out of being praised, you've got to go around blaming too. It's very simple. But if you see the folly of that praising and blaming are just creating each other, then you don't praise and you don't blame. You just dig the whole thing. And that's why, when we encounter very great sages, you never hear them blame people, and they very rarely praise anyone. You try to start gossip in the presence of such a person, and you make a derogatory comment about someone. It's as if you had thrown a rock into a well and heard no splash. And a funny feeling, because that you get no response. You get no agreement. And if you praise somebody, there's also likely nothing to be said, except perhaps some remark that, of course, you're praising the beloved in all its manifestations. And this disconcerts some people terribly. I've always noticed that real sages never gossip, never criticize persons. And because they understand so well. The French saying, tout comprendre, c'est tout pardonner, to understand all is to forgive all, is so true if you are experienced in just the ordinary way of dealing with human problems. If you've been a counselor or psychotherapist or minister or anything like that, you very soon get to realize how vastly complicated people are. and to see that they really are in the messes they're in, not because of anything, but that's the way it is. And you stop blaming people, and because you don't blame people, you have open ears, and people come and seek your advice. They don't want to come to someone who's a counselor who will bawl them out. It's like dentists who simply accept the fact that people really don't take care of their teeth, and realize that the job of a dentist is precisely to look after people who can't be bothered to take care of their teeth. That's why he's in business. So a good dentist doesn't bawl his patients out because they didn't do this, that, and the other. Just accept it. Same with doctors. They know perfectly well that nobody's going to live by the rules of health. And they're very vague as to what they are. And, there's every kind of theory about how you ought to live and what is healthy, but they change in fashion. And you ought to eat this kind of diet in 1921. By the time it's 1930, they've changed their ideas altogether. And by the time it's 1960, it's back again to a mixture between 1921 and 1894. Something like that. You see, it's always changing. So, while the rules that are not so... You see, if they were all absurd, it would be easy. But they're not all absurd. There's some truth in it, always. But nobody's ever quite sure. So the function of healers and doctors and so on is just to do what can be done to stop the mess getting too messy. And they must accept it as that. That's their job. If I were healthy, say to the doctor, I wouldn't need you. So you're in business. Now, what about it then? We have difficulty in seeing this mutuality of our relationship to the rest of the world because it's contrary to common sense, contrary to the way we've been brought up. And therefore we have what I would call an initial intellectual block to understanding it, quite apart from any emotional blocks or anything of that kind. But obviously, we must overcome that intellectual block if we're going to go any further and actually realize and feel this way of life's working in this relationship between what you do and what happens to you. Then the question arises, then what do I do? Do I go around saying to myself, all this that's happening to you is what I wanted. I am inside and outside. I am the subjective and I am the objective. And I mean to go around thinking thoughts about this, so as it were to talk yourself into this way of feeling. Well, that's very superficial. Because this new sense of relationship to nature is something much more than an idea. See, ecologists and physicists have the idea that this is so. But they, mostly in their private life and in their ordinary human behavior, are just like other people who don't feel it and who feel themselves in a Newtonian billiards game, even though they've gone on to quantum mechanics. So that there may be a transition from our ordinary way of feeling how things go on to the new way, we have to do something other than think. Because actually thinking is causing the trouble. It is by thinking that we divide the world into separate events and separate things. That is calculus. And Ananda Kumaraswamy once described the life of the liberated being as a perpetual, uncalculated life in the present. And you say, wow, I don't think I could do that. That saying of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, be not anxious for the morrow, the uncalculated life. If God so clothe the grass of the field, will he not much more clothe you, faithless ones? And I've never met a preacher yet who would really take that up. They all say, well, of course, that's too hard a saying for most of us. It's not practical. Everybody has to take thought for the morrow and calculate. Well, at this point, people can go in two directions. There's one class of people who will say, all right, let's live the uncalculated life. Let's not make any plans. And before you know where they are, they're living a filthy pad and scrounging around and living on petty thievery and so on. This is the usual thing. This is got into it the wrong way. The first thing to do is, just as I said, whether you like it or not, and whether you know it or not, the relationship between you and the environment is always one that is harmonious. So in the same way, you are always living the uncalculated life. And you have to find out, first of all, that you're always doing it. And that what you call your calculations, and the things you did, were funny little rationalizations. In other words, your ego has about as much control over what goes on as a child sitting next to its father in a car with a plastic steering wheel that is turning the car the way Daddy drives it. Because, as I pointed out, most of the functions, most of the goings-on in you, around you, the circumstances of life, have nothing to do with your ego at all. And you don't even know why you make up your mind to do certain things. We know superficially, we have a few ideas. It's like when you enter into a marriage, you have really no control over its outcome, in the ordinary sense of ego control. You've taken a colossal gamble in which you've involved enormous complexes of patterns. And maybe it'll come out all right if you don't interfere with it too much. You know, it's like Oppenheimer said, it's perfectly obvious that the whole world is going to hell. And the only possible way we might stop that happening is not to try to prevent it. And you know, all these wars are started out by people who think that they're helping someone, that it's going to make things better. So, when you begin from the basis, not of saying, I should now live the spontaneous and improvident and non-calculating style of life, but realize you've always done that, only you rationalized that you didn't. You always did what you wanted to do, basically. Only you said sometimes it was my duty. But you preferred a conception of yourself as someone who always does his duty. That flattered you. And so you were still following your own way. Now the first thing then is to see that that's what's happening. So that you don't think, well, now there is some special thing I have to do to understand this harmonious relationship between the individual and the world. Because if you work on it that way, you will start from the presupposition that that relationship doesn't already exist and has to be brought into being. The thing is, it doesn't have to be brought into being. It's there. But now when you see that that's so, it obviously starts to make a difference. You do behave in a different way. But the behavior, the new kind of behavior that is a result of a transformation, is not forced behavior. When you try to imitate the way a saint behaves, you have made a forced change, and you know all forced behavior is phony. It's like someone saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, when you don't. You feel you ought to, but you don't really. And there's something, it doesn't ring true. Well, think of the poor Lord, listening to all the prayers of all those people, saying, I love you, Jesus. And he knows they don't. No, they're just saying this because they think they ought to. And is he very trying? So, whenever you do a thing like that, you see, you make a forced change. Now, if the change is to happen in the same way that a seed at proper season breaks open and sends up a shoot, see, it comes from the whole force of life itself. Now, when you see that without your having to do anything, see, you are living the uncalculated life, and you're only pretending you're calculating it and arranging it, then, as it were, you will have a grasp of the total situation. And you can allow it to produce changes in action, which are not forced. So this is why there is always a trend in every kind of spiritual doctrine which says something about grace, divine grace. There must come about something in you, a change, which you can't produce. And if you try to produce it, you will be a victim of spiritual pride. But on the other hand, all teachers are universally saying, you've got to make an effort. There's some discipline, there is something you must do. Well, that's the only way to get it across to people. That you, as a separate effort maker, are a myth, are a phantasm. Because if you really try to control your mind and only think the thoughts that you think are good thoughts to think, you will find that you're going round in a circle. Krishnamurti is awfully good at pointing this out. When people ask him, how do you meditate? He says, why do you want to meditate? Why are you concentrating? Why are you saying prayers? Why do you think you should believe in God? And it always comes up because I'm just a son of a bitch. I mean, I'm out for my own good, and this seems to be the way. So he says, you see, you don't have any genuine love at all. It's all fake. And so you have to find, first of all, where the genuine love is. Now, you love you, don't you? That's genuine. We won't argue about that. But then, when you start from this, I gave a talk some time ago to the Air Force. Their camp, or lab where they make weapons, do all the research. And they got a bunch of us there who were ministers and philosophers, and they had the nerve to ask us what was our basis for moral behavior, personal moral behavior. Well, I said, my basis for moral behavior is pure selfishness. And I'm talking, after all, to realistic people here, and I don't think we need to be sentimental and beat about the bush. After all, you're all warriors and fighters and so on, and you know how rough things are. So I'm going to say to you frankly, I'm out for me. But of course, I don't do it in a tactless way. I don't go around and hit people over the head and say, give me this, give me that. I'm much more subtle. I say, good manners and please and how nice you all are and so on, and finally people feel massaged psychologically into a state where they'll give. But then I said, after that, there's some things that bother me. The first one is, if I love me, what do I want? And furthermore, who am I? Because if I'm going to be realistic about getting what I want, I've got to be pretty sure what it is that's me and what is the state of desire in me. If I am desire, see, if I am a center of desire, what's it all for? Well, I think of all the things I want. Well, it so turns out that none of them are me. See, when I say I want dinner, that doesn't mean I'm going to eat me up. Any pleasure I can think of is the enjoyment of something that I hadn't thought of defining as myself. Because I like my sensations. I like what happens to my body when I take a fine wine and down it. But then what's the difference between my body and the wine? If I say I like the wine, I also mean I like me and the wine together, the mixture. But then I don't eat you or a friend or a lover in the same way as I drink wine. I live in association and like this. But then I'm loving things that aren't formally supposed to be me. And as I go into it, in other words, as I investigate what I mean by me, I find that I can't put any limits on it. That I cannot experience me without you, or without the other. They're inseparable. But you don't find this out until you investigate it, until you really go into the question, what do I want? And that's the most important investigation anyone can make, which I'm going into in the next session. The question of power. And all these military men, you think they think they want power. And so I said to them some very subversive and undermining things without anybody knowing it until long after I'd left.
Greatness. How do you follow up Bach? You can't. Did you see that line I posted that Alan said towards the end of the talk? I can't experience me without you. You guys realize what that implicates? It's been a big week for me. I had an interview with Polarity Josh. That was amazing. I had a wonderful time. I get emotional with all this stuff because I really care about you guys. And this week has been a big week of communication. I spoke with Josh live for about 2.5 hours. And then yesterday at Zoom, I presented the first part of my Flower of Life series. And then today we've got this beautiful 3 hours together in the Zen garden. Just amazing. So I really, really enjoy this. I thought about, I got to show you guys something that we did this week. You guys did this week. You guys did it. There it is, black and white. You did it. It's because of you guys. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. I'm going to leave the site up, the GoFundMe site up, so that those of you that wish to continue to support me in my work here, I would very much appreciate it. And I'm just very thankful. When I started that GoFundMe, I was at a low place in life. Some terrible things that happened to me vocationally, and I literally thought it was over. I did. I thought it was over. And as a last minute thought idea, I thought, I'm just going to try a GoFundMe. Maybe I can raise enough to be able to get a new computer and keep this thing going. But I didn't think it was going to work. And I think it was within a few days I had raised enough to keep going, to get this computer and so forth. And literally the reason why I'm here right now and you can see me is because of the group, because of y'all's support. So a huge thank you to all of you for your incredible help in my life and what I'm doing here. Thank you. Another big event is coming up here in the summer. It's going to be Swindoll Shindig. We are meeting on July 18th, 2026. If you want to make it up, we'd love to see you. It's a time of just being together and spending an afternoon together. Not a massive event. It's just a gathering of people that care about each other and want to share some nature with each other. And so we're going to do that up at Artist Point on the 18th of July. I'm looking forward to it. So we are on week 18 of Zen. And I wanted to let you guys know something before I get going on the gig here and get over into chat to say hello to everybody. I wanted you guys to know that I have sensed inside, I don't really know why, but I have sensed inside an urgency to push further in this book, but not in the sense of detail, but in the sense of covering as much as we can, as expeditiously as we can, because we understand the basics now. I think you guys are pretty familiar now with the basic premise of Zen, Mahayana Buddhism, Hinayana Buddhism, the void, the Tao, Chinese philosophy. And we've definitely gotten our feet wet, and we definitely understand the basic concepts, and there's no need to keep repeating things. And so I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently from here forward. We're going to accelerate things a little bit after today. And then I've got a Zen koan for you today, which I'm excited about. I wrote it this week. And then there was something else. I can't remember. What was it? Well, I'll think of it in a minute. Let me get over to chat and let's see how you guys are doing, and let's say hello. Chuck never asks. I love it, Shan. I'm absolutely trying, I promise. I do have a GoFundMe. I do. It's the way that I make this sustainable. I don't like asking for money. I don't like asking anything from anybody. And so I just keep my GoFundMe up for those that feel led to support me and to support what we're doing here. But I never want that to become the object. I never want that to become anything of attention. The point is the material. The point is the connection. The point is reaching you guys. That's the point. So those things will take care of themselves over time. Those that feel led will give, and it'll work out fine. I have complete faith and confidence in the process. Something about the sixth symmetry flower of life pattern makes me uneasy. Really expanded, it gives trypophobia vibes, feels angular, constrictive to design freedom. You ought to try to come to my Zoom, and I bet you I can change your mind on that, Shen Jacques. I bet you I could change your mind. I bet you I could lead some peace into your life there, or at least try to. I have some tough news actually for the Zoom members. I found out after it was all over that nothing recorded. The entire thing didn't record. And so that has now blown the second part, because without the first part, I can't piece those together. And it's okay, because it was rough trying to navigate my presenter through the Zoom thing is like trying to use a hand with another hand. It just doesn't work. So it's okay. I'll just be presenting the rest of the talk to you guys next week. And even though it's not recorded, it's okay. I'm honored and glad that I've been able to present it to you guys that are there in Zoom. So it's special just for you. You guys will be getting the first and only presentation of it. So all good. It'll work out just fine. Any questions or anything that anybody wants to know about? Hey, Scott. It's good to see you. You blew my mind on Zoom, dude. You blew my mind. Incredible. So I'll look for stuff that's in all caps. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer whatever questions that you have. Look at this, Yorkshire in the house. Nice. Love my friends across the pond. Vincenzo Zaccardi. Thank you, sir, for your letters this week, for your support. I so appreciate your love and care for my work here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. How is my mom? You're going to make me cry, Mel. I don't want to get emotional again. I feel like I know I'm a crying philosopher, but it's going to wear you guys out if I'm always emotional. I got to maintain. She's okay. She's as good as she could be. She has a slow deteriorating condition that's not going to get better. She's not going to get better. And so it's the way that it's going to happen for mom. And that's okay. She's surrounded by those that love her. She has plenty of support. My dad is there in the house with her every day, is with her 24/7. And that's all my dad really cares about in the world anymore is my mom, obviously. And his life is really simplified down to that. And that's beautiful. So as a couple, my parents, I think they've been married over 70 years now. So they're as content as you could be considering their condition. So thankfulness for that. And another great thing to tell you is that they're pretty much pain-free. Last time I talked to my dad, that was probably about 6 months ago or so, 3 months ago, or maybe 5 months ago. I don't know. But last time I talked to them, they're pain-free. So that's really great. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. They're both pain-free. So that's what we want to hear. But she'll be okay in the sense that, she's slowly going to fade away. And it's okay. That's all part of it. Okay. Thanks, Stacy. I need to maintain here. I need to maintain. Now I'm going to wear you guys out if I get too emotional. Okay. Chuck, so happy about your GoFundMe. I love the Zoom. Thanks. No worries about the recording issue. We are here. Love you and the rest of the band. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hi, Chuck. How did you navigate through the monk's walk for peace? I had a most heart-opening experiencing. That's fantastic. I just saw a few pictures of it. I didn't follow it closely. I'm not a monk. I'm not a Buddhist, and so I don't have a special interest just for those kinds of things, but I definitely appreciate them. And I love it when people can connect. That's what's important. And that echoes back to Alan's comment, if I want to know me, I need to experience you. So that's why I'm so thankful that this chat has turned out into such a beautiful family. That was one of the things that was totally unexpected when I started this, because it is YouTube. And you guys know what YouTube is typically like. And so to have a family, a chat family, that's so compassionate and cares so much. I mean, even Shan and the group were over there with me and Polarity Josh supporting my work. And that has been totally unexpected. And I'm so thankful for that. You guys really resonate well with my work. And so I resonate very well with you guys because you guys appreciate similar things that I appreciate. And I know it's not popular stuff. Studying Zen with a crying philosopher is not exciting. So I know that it's a sacrifice to be here. But people who want to awaken and who want to expand their consciousness understand that it's a long, arduous process. It's challenging. And so it takes time. You got to dedicate time. You got to dedicate attention. You got to dedicate off time. It's almost like having homework in many ways, studying Zen, as you guys now have finished up chapter 2. And so I just can't thank my chat enough, because you guys really appreciate this kind of work. And this kind of work is long and arduous, but okay, we're going to continue on, and we're going to continue learning and expanding and growing, because that is the point. And that's what's going to awaken humanity. And when humanity awakens, right, we enter into the great awakening and transcend. Chuck, second student. Unbelievable. You guys are so awesome. I cannot believe you guys are naming yourself stuff like that. That is just incredible, man. Jesus. This is just all so unexpected. Man. Okay. Chuck, you should have another calendar that states lives awaken because you have changed Shan and I forever. Thank you. God. Man. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Chuck, I want you to add another number to the one behind you for yourself. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, sweetie. I'll put that up. Media assets here. Thank you. Back to comments. All right. Okay. Chuck, did you get a chance to watch alchemist Sarah Elkhaldy, Revelation of the Method showing up around the Epstein files? I did. I recommend it to chatters for an overview of what you're being shown. Yeah. So the Revelation of the Method is an old satanic means and ways to eliminate karma by getting your victim to go along with your scheming. It's very much like an egregore. And the point of an egregore is to get someone to believe your lies, and then when they believe their lies, they then live out the lies you have put into them. The Revelation of the Method is a similar kind of gig where you're communicating to the people that you're going to exploit, and you tell them what you're going to do so that when you do it, they're already normalized to what you're doing. So here's a good way to put it. We all know about the Patriot Act. I use this example all the time. And what they did is they made giving away your sovereign rights normal by terrorizing you with WMDs. And so they tell you about the WMDs, and then they tell you that they're going to stop the terrorists by passing laws and doing what's necessary and arresting them and so on and so forth to save you. So they're telling you what they're going to do. And then they do it. They act like there's the WMDs. They claim that they're there, and then they quickly pass a law that takes away all your sovereign rights or a lot of your sovereign rights. And you go along with it. You actually praise and endorse the law that takes away your rights. And so the karma that the controllers would typically receive by taking away your rights, they don't get the negative karma because it's not negative because you've complied. This is one of the tragedies of the world because they're using natural law, the way that the universe is put together, to advantage you by your own complicity because you're not aware. This is why awareness is so important. And another reason why there won't be a great awakening if we don't build our awareness collectively and individually. We instigate it. We bring about the world. You guys know this. What you think of the world becomes the world. That's the way the world works. Like attracts like. And because you're an all-powerful creative being, the ideas you have in your head become the actions you place into your hands, the actions you place into your mind, you see? And so in this way, we instigate our own destiny. And that's why it's so important to have a perspective right now that doesn't have humanity all dying by the next cataclysm, be it 20 years, 40 years, 100 years. Because if we all go along with that idea, we will bring it about. Okay? So all these YouTubers and people and stuff that are out there giving you the doom and gloom line and telling you that we're all going to be screwed, another cataclysm's coming, and you're finished, kind of a thing. What they're doing is actually creating that and bringing it about by spreading that lie to all, or that opinion to all the masses. The masses believe it, and then they go with it. They accept it as, oh, that's the truth. And so they believe it, and they put that energy, that electromagnetism, into that scenario. And because we live in a magical wonder, we create from the creativity in our minds. And it becomes what happens. So that's why it's so important to have an attitude of, I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future, but that doesn't matter. What's important is that I better and build myself right now. That right now, today, I can grow, become, expand my mind, and I can have a vision in my head of this beautiful future for humanity. And so I'm going to carry that vision. I'm going to have that vision in my head, meditate on that, so that I can bring and evoke that out. So I can bring it, manifest it into the world. You guys know, to have the energy you want to experience, you raise your own energy to the level of that experience. So if I want an awakened humanity, I awaken myself to that level. So then I resonate there and I attract others, the world, to that, because we're magnets, we're curvy, we're attractive, right? And by attracting that, I created it. It happens. And as other people bring about that same ideal in their mind, guess what happens? The entire world changes towards humanity, towards the betterment of humanity. And so that's a little bit of a nice question there about revelation of the method. That's a really good door opener for larger concepts. We're going to be doing a lot of that today. I'm going to change a little bit of my style here, for sure. Yes, definitely need to do that. And welcome, Steady Eddie. Glad that you're here, friend. You guys are, Shan, you're going to kill me, man. You guys, thank you. I don't deserve that. Thank you. Thank you, Shan. Yeah, really, Come on. What is your view on the Lord's Prayer before and after being an iconoclast? You leave those ideas of forms and, in my opinion, spirituality isn't a saving system. And the Lord's Prayer, to me, is, people are going to really not like this. It's a bath in fear. I'm sorry. It's an approach that is not self-empowering, and it is an approach that requires reaching outside yourself. And in my opinion, and this is with all due respect, okay? Because I respect those that really find a lot of life in that verse. I've just found, as I've left religious moorings, that spirituality isn't like, when I pray for a hedge of protection, or I pray for God to be closer in my life, or I pray for something to be taken from me, I am actually attracting the negative of that, because I'm to raise my vibration to that which I, would like to have in my life. And so when I'm asking for that resonance, when I'm asking for a particular vibration, being it protective or creative or whatever the case may be, right? I'm in asking, saying I don't have it. By asking permission, asking for something to happen, I'm at the same time admitting my lack. You see that? And so the whole idea of prayer, when I walked into Zen, didn't make sense to me anymore. Because when you pray, at least the way I was raised, you communicate to God what your needs are. You communicate to God what your sorrows and pains are. And you ask for those things to God to help you with those things, for you to have those things released from you. You guys that spend any time in Christianity, you know this. And the psychology is that, you know, you're admitting your weakness when you're saying that you want God to provide this. You want God to be your protector, as though you can't protect yourself, as though you're less than. And so those to me are not helpful in a person who wants to grow. They're helpful for a person who's afraid. You know, it gives them some kind of soothing coping mechanism for being afraid. And again, I say that with all due respect, because I know a lot of you guys probably are near and dear to that prayer. And I don't want to be a meanie. I don't want to be your enemy. I want to be your friend, but I'm going to have some different opinions. So yeah, my opinions about prayer have really changed. I'm more about finding it within yourself, about meditation and finding that energy within yourself, because it's all there. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing missing inside of you. How do we move forward? How do we move forward having learnt what you've shared? People will just assume I've gone insane, even though it's so obvious. Think of it the same way as approaching, say, a friend of yours that was a Christian or an Islam or a Muslim or whatever, or a Mormon or something, their whole life. You're going to do more damage if you approach them too much too soon. Like when they first released the Epstein files way back, you guys remember how they were received. The general public thought, these people are nuts. There's no way that stuff is going on. It's too much. You know, it's just too hot. It's like you bring a piece of hot iron to red hot and then pour some water on it, and it stays red because it's so hot a gas film forms, so the water never even touches the iron. That's why when you see the iron being made in those steel factories, they got water dumping all over the top of it to keep it from melting from the pressures of the forms they're putting it into. And it doesn't even change from red. I mean, it stays red hot, even though water's pouring all of it. And it's because of that gas layer. And it's the same thing when you approach someone that's so hot in their opinion, they're so hot in knowing that they're right. Any type of soothing ointment or water you try and pour on them to cool them off and not be such a fanatic, it doesn't even touch them. Doesn't even touch them. And you as a friend, you have to be sensitive to that, because you'll end up turning them off even more. And so you have to allow this stuff to seep in. Like if I take a chunk of wood and I just dunk it in water, it hasn't really gotten into the fibers to where I can bend it. But if I leave it soaking in there for a while, it'll eventually start to bend if I want it to, because the fibers have become saturated. And it's the same thing with this whole Satanism, pedophilia that's running the world. Everybody has a different degree of what they can accept when they're first are facing it. And it's the same thing with religion. What can that person hear? What can they hear? And you being a friend to them, hopefully can be sensitive enough to know what they can hear. And if you're like me and you have family members that have been Christians for 70 years or whatever, like my parents, you're never going to be able to reach them, most likely. Most likely they won't change. We're stubborn like that as people. We won't change. So use your discernment. Use cunning techniques and ways of reaching your friends in just the exact way that you know how. In a way that you remember back in the day when you quote unquote were both Islam or you both were atheists or whatever. And you remember the kind of things you joked about and talked about of how to reach people and so forth. And use those techniques. And because you've left the religion, let's say, you're going to have a tremendously greater capacity for compassion, because you're not living under laws and rules. You're not being told to love your neighbor. You're not being told to love God. So you're a much more open person, because that isn't being put in on you. Utilize that empathy. utilize that high vibration that you now carry because you've escaped the religious mechanism, you've escaped the scientific mechanism. Use that higher frequency that you are now resonating at to see and understand the sensitivity in that other. And therefore, if there is any leeway, if there's any way you can pierce that membrane very gently, then you can start to begin to spread the word. But it takes time. Another one is cannabis. Remember when they started talking legalizing cannabis back in the day? This was back when I was in high school, practically a little bit after, 80s and 90s. And everyone thought, that's crazy. You know, that stuff is garbage and it just destroys people's lives. And it's taken a long time for people to warm up to it. And it's, again, I'm just repeating the same patterns. So you're going to have to allow them to think that you're insane. You're going to have to be okay with that. It's like when people degrade me in chat or whatever, you have to roll with that. It was really funny. Mel brought up when I was in Zoom yesterday. She said that people couldn't get past my appearance because I know my appearance is very different. And so you just have to let people be in that space. If that's the small world that they're in, let them be in that world. It's just going to anger them if you tell them that they're in a small world. So you just have to let them be. And then as gently as you can communicate, hey, just so you know, that's projection. When you're coming out and saying to others publicly how unattractive or ugly or whatever the case may be, that's called projection. And it just renders the person's own lack who's saying those things. They themselves have that lack in them, and it comes out in their words because they feel that way about themselves. It's coming out as projection. That's why they do it. It's self-soothing. And you just have to be the helicopter view in this stuff and just stay from this wide angle lens perspective. And then it becomes funny because you see what's really the psychology going on here. It actually has nothing to do with you. So you won't take it personally. Okay. All caps. Hi, Tony. Chuck, I have listened to your documentaries and talks. You have helped me get through COVID. Fantastic, brother. You've helped me awaken more. You are critical to humanity. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Thank you very much. I love people. I love helping. I love being part of the solution. Andrew is a scapegoat for the rest of them to get away, offered up to the people. Sorry, that was in caps. I thought it was for me. It's for Andrew. Sorry. Chuck, you've confirmed everything that I have been feeling since I was brought into this world. Thank you again. Thank you, George. Beautiful. Thank you, George. Is a part of ritual the reason they show us the things they do to us? Yes, it's the revelation of the method. It's why they've been able to do it. Another great example, all of the gender dysphoria that you have seen happen over the last couple of years. That's them putting the science right in front of you so that then you'll accept it when years later they start mutilating 5- and 6-year-olds. The public will be normalized to these gender dysphorias. That's why YouTube and X and stuff are promote so hard people who are clearly suffering with psychopathy. That's why those people are promoted to try and normalize people that are insane. Here's another example. The government does it when they have a doctor who, say, works for the Mayo Clinic, and the government official asks that doctor, what does it mean to be a female? And this doctor, who's top of the class, top of the thing, so the executive example, the penultimate example of knowledge, answers, I can't answer that question. You're normalizing stupidity at that point. You're normalizing gross, morbid opinions about the human being. You see? And so she is telling you the method, which is denial at the most base level, so that when the teachers start doing it, your local doctor starts doing it, you're normal, and you think it's normal. You know what? We really even don't know what a male or female is, come to think of it, you see. And this is how you get the masses to go with it. They did it with climate change. The same thing with climate change. They told you that just breathing, you're the problem. And now you believe that lie. And you then think, okay, I got to pay more taxes because of this problem I'm causing. You see, that's an egregore. You've bought the con. And now you take your wallet out and start handing the officials your money because you think you're the problem. They do it to Christians every day, calling them sinners. The Catholic Church does it. Same operation, same MO. This goes back thousands of years. Okay, that's what all of that is. It's to get you to go along with it, to get you to be compliant and complicit, that you're a dirty carbonger, that you believe this, that you're useless, that the populations have to be lowered because too many people will ruin the planet. Crazy ideas that people believe. This man does the work. Tony M. I know, right? Check out his other lectures. This man does work. Thank you. Thank you, Shan. I promise I try. We must push, or I be, because there is no try. I be. We must push back against the apparent lack of accountability for the crimes against humanity. You got that right, Captain. I would say that was one of the most disappointing things I have ever witnessed. You guys ready? One of the most difficult things that I have ever witnessed that happened in the last 2 months have been the government officials that have been saying, oh, there's nothing in that file. There's nothing, there's no crimes there. And if there are any crimes, heck, that's just Epstein. He's the only one who's committing all these crimes. And then you have the president say, why are you guys still paying attention to that Epstein stuff? And you got Bondi saying, why are you bringing up the Epstein files? We have all these concerns, or the stock market's doing so great. You know how much time I have for that? Because it's basically saying we're ignoring all the crimes that we know are in those documents, and they're not doing anything about it. How sad is it that Great Britain has started arresting people before America? They're the first ones to arrest. When was the last time a royal was arrested in England? Isn't it something like 350 years? And did you know he was arrested on his 66th birthday? Did you know that? And it was 666 days. Tell me they're not playing with you. It was 666 days after the time those bloody horses ran through London. He was arrested 666 days to the day of that. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, my whole thing is we have to hold these people accountable, because even people that I thought would really do a good job holding those people accountable aren't. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. I don't want to be political. We have to move to love. That's it. Yes, exactly. I want to talk about love. I want to talk about connection. I want to talk about Zen. Yeah, there are many ways. There are many ways to approach the ineffable. Some people like it in this fatherly idea. Some people like it past any kind of fatherly idea. Okay. Should we just get going to Zen? You guys, I'm looking for just caps. I'm just scrolling through to find all caps, and then I'm going to move to Zen here. I could spend forever in chat. I'm seeing comment after comment. It's not all caps, so I'm not responding, but I'm seeing comment after comment like, okay, I could go down a rabbit hole there. Okay, I could go down a rabbit hole there. Okay, I go down a rabbit hole there. I mean, it's endless. Yeah. Well, in fact, it's even beyond that. Mossad, essentially Israel, has been running the show since the Levant. How about them apples? It's the KM. The Mossad is the secret police for the KM, like the Bolsheviks. Epstein was a huge part of it. And he was in it from the beginning. Yeah. I'm right there with you, Zoja. Right there with you. Right there with you. I know the PM's been around forever. I get it. Yes. 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 It's all scumbags. Okay? It's all, the Mason movement has been completely infiltrated. The Catholic Church has always been corrupt. The Jesuits have always been corrupt. These are institutions that I've shown you guys repeatedly over and over again. They're all corrupt. There's nothing efficacious about them, period. Period. End of story. It has all the knowledge has been molested and used and changed and tainted. Even the Masons that claim we're not like those satanic pedophiles. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your institution called Masonry has been captured. Sorry. That's the way it is. It is a fallen institution. And even the Catholic Church never even had to fall. They were corrupt from the beginning. You guys know that. There's no need to go back down those rabbit holes. I've gone down that rabbit hole so many times. You guys know that. Okay, let's get on to Zen. Good evening. Let's get on to Zen. Here we go. So this is what we're going to do. Add to stage. You are watching Live with Chuck Swindoll Jr. That's me, Zen, the Course of Nature. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're going to move right through these slides tonight, get through chapter 2. We're going to get this done. I already made that announcement. Thank you, everyone. The 2 folks that wrote those letters, thank you so much. I hope you guys saw those. Take a moment and read that if you can. What is that I just saw go by? Chuck, will there be another platform to meet when YouTube adds ID verification? Well, I'm on Rumble and so on and so forth. I'll do my best with what I can with what happens. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do a little different. We're going to be getting through these slides a little bit more quickly, and we're going to let the words speak. And I'm going to turn off the chat where I can see it so that I don't get distracted. And I'm going to stay focused. And what we're going to do is we're going to move through these major points of of Zen. And we're going to get into some really good stuff here that's going to help some of you guys free yourself from anxiety and concerns, but not in a way that's irresponsible. So last week we read the first 2. And what you see here are the 5 teachings or 5 doctrines of Huayan Uvatam Saka school, representing in a hierarchical classification system developed by patriarchs like Fanzing to organize Buddhist doctrines. And what we're doing here is we're comparing Hinayana and Mahayana to Zen. And by this, we better understand Zen. So where I want to start is that center one right below where it says similarities to Zen. Second down, this number 2, shares Zen's reliance on emptiness and non-conceptual wisdom. Zen koans often deconstruct dualities in a way reminiscent of Madhyamukha dialectics. Now, what I wanted you to see were these dialectics, but before I show you that, I'm going to read to you the rest of 2 and then on to 3, 4, and 5 so that you guys can get a picture here. Okay, so Mahayana, as you know, is the great vehicle, and it introduces core Mahayana concepts like emptiness, sunyata, co-arising of phenomena, and the illusory nature of form. It draws from the sutras, Yogacara, teachings, and philosophy, stressing that all dharmas, ways, lack inherent existence. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. This is the method of the void. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. That contradiction is what is. Now, the difference this is from Zen, that description there, the difference is this teaching is gradual and analytical. This is key to understanding Zen. This teaching is gradual and analytical, building understanding through study, while Zen favors direct, non-gradual realization without reliance on scriptures. Here's the key, not reliance on scriptures or intellectual dissection. Huayan sees as preparatory. Sees this as preparatory, not fully integrative, like Zen's practical application. And this is the key. This is the key with Zen. This is the key with Zen. Is Zen really wants to be practical and direct pointing. Not a lot of theory, not a lot of explanation. Very mysterious and very direct pointing, meaning you're not going to mistake it once you see it. And it's that intellectual IQ side, that sensitivity side, that's going to see that without your being directly told. Zen doesn't directly tell you, it directly points. You see, because words are fragments of Om. So if I want to get to Om, I got to point. I can't use words. And this is what Zen is attempting. It's attempting for you to realize, to see, to fully comprehend Om, to fully comprehend the Tao without words, without intention. It just is in you. In the same way, when you see the child is under threat, you run to the child's aid and assistance. That is in you. You didn't have to be taught it. You don't have to be taught the principles of mind expansion. Zen just shows it to you because it's outside of words. So your progression in Zen will be determined by your IQ, your creativity, your sensitivity, your awareness of where you are and who you are, because no one can tell you. Nature renders it to you. Okay, add back to stage. The final Mahayana, the advanced vehicle, emphasizes the eternal, all-pervading Buddha nature inherent in all beings, teaching that enlightenment is intrinsic and phenomena arise like this pure mind, includes influences from texts like the Nirvana Sutra, all beings carry Buddha nature. And then let's look at the differences, and then we'll look at similarities. The differences, more doctrinal, again, Zen doesn't like doctrine, and affirmative of Buddha nature. See, the nature that you are and the nature that you're in. You see, simply recognizing that as a positive essence, contrasting Zen's iconoclastic rejection of fixed concepts and emphasis on experiential awakening over theoretical affirmation. Huyan positions it as advanced, but still not sudden like the Zen. And this is the thing with Zen, and you guys know this. Zen is sudden. Zen happens of itself so. Can't be planned. Its spontaneity is the reason why it's Zen. So it's the similarities here in this final Mahayana advanced vehicle aligns closely with Zen's core doctrine of innate Buddha nature, the original mind, and the idea that all beings are already enlightened. Both promote realization of this inherent purity. Now, moving into the sudden teaching, and as we move into this, we're moving closer and closer to Zen. This centers on abrupt, direct enlightenment without gradual stages or reliance on words or teachings. Points straight to the mind, transcending dualities through immediate insight as exemplified in early Chan texts. That's its description, and then the differences from Zen. While Zen embodies this teaching, Huyan critiques it as incomplete for lacking full integration of interpretation doctrines. There it is again. Zen doesn't like the doctrines. You see, they don't like the words. Zen, in turn, often dismisses Huyan's elaborate classifications as unnecessary intellectualism, prioritizing practice over theory. And then how is this similar to Zen? It directly corresponds to Zen. That sudden teaching directly corresponds, which Huyan explicitly associates with this level, meaning sudden awakening. Both advocate sudden awakening, non-verbal transmission, and seeing one's nature instantly, as in the Platform Sutra. This is so great. I'm totally teeing you guys up for the next step. And then finally, this is the perfect round. This is the finest teaching of Buddhism according to the Buddhists. The pinnacle teaches total intrapenetration where principle, ultimate reality, Buddha nature, and phenomena mutually contain each other. One is all is one, and all phenomena interpenetrate without obstruction, based on the Avatamsaka Sutra's holistic vision. The cosmos is a holographic, interconnected, and interpenetrating reality. Beautiful. Huyan's systematic dialectic approach contrasts with Zen's anti-intellectual. See, there it is. Anti-intellectual. IQ is creativity, you see. IQ is what isn't in the words. You see it. You see past what it's showing you. Koan-based method. Zen absorbed these ideas, but simplified them into direct experience, viewing Huyan's complexity as a potential hindrance to awakened. And this profoundly influenced Zen's worldview, providing metaphors like Indra's net for non-duality and interdependence. Zen masters fused this with Chan, entrenching Chen's understanding of everyday reality as enlightened. Now, looking at, I'm going to get to that in a minute, looking at the Madhyamaka dialectics, and these include, and this is referring to here, this right here in the center where it says under similarities to Zen, these are the dialectics. These are the dialectics to understand this deeper principle. Okay, so we have these 5. Emptiness, which is the foundational principle that all things lack intrinsic nature or self-substance. We have dependent origination. Phenomena exist only in relation to other conditions. This is why I know me through you. You know you through me. We share in our interdependence. We share in our self-arising. Does that make sense? We share in these things, and that therefore, when I relate to you, see, I understand me better. That's the me in you, and the same for you to me. That's the you in me, you see? And these interrelate and self-grow, self-become through each other. This is why the Great Awakening, we all go. The Great Awakening is we all go. And those that don't go, those that choose to stay, they don't go. And that's all part of the growing and the desuetude, the losses, the culling out of those that aren't resonating at that plane. And this is common sense here. What's happening? Why did it go to that? Here. Okay. The middle way, a rejection of extreme views, right? The nonplussed, specifically externalism and nihilism. Externalism holding that things have permanent existence, and nihilism holding that nothing exists. You see, we hold both of these in contradiction with the middle way. Is that understood? It's because you don't hang to anything. You don't cling to any one way, one specific channel, one belief, because then you are limited to that. This is a work of integration, growing with, expanding, consciousness expanded. You see, this is how you escape religious contexts, by seeing them as just that. It's a context. It's an opinion. It's a thought. It's a position. But it's not finality. It's not absolute, because nothing can be in a wonder. It's always going to be growing even larger than you can imagine. And so one takes the middle way to realize that. A method of reducing an opponent's position, here into the dialectical method, a method of reducing an opponent's position to a logical absurdity without asserting a thesis of one's own. This is the customer is always right fallacy, right? Because if the customer comes in and says, okay, well, this game that I use and it's all worn out now, I don't like it anymore, it's boring, so I want my money back. Well, if you buy to the customer is always right fallacy, well, then you're going to end up giving that person the new game. That's a fallacy then. The thought, the concept, the customer's always right, it has the fallacy built within it. All sleep is a good fallacy. All sleep is good fallacy. So if I sleep for 18, 20, 23 hours a day, that's good? No, it's not. So it's this idea of when you take things to extremes, right? It's a dialectic to understand that's crazy. Here's another great, perfect one. A person that says the Great Awakening is all about Islam. Everybody's going to become an Islamist. You see, that's crazy thought. The Great Awakening is everyone becomes a Christian. Everyone believes in Jesus and accepts Jesus as their savior. That's the Great Awakening. You see, and that's nutty. It's nutty when you realize, my friend, that's a mindset to think that about yourself. You are choosing to think this way about yourself, whether it be a Christian or Islam. You are choosing to put yourself in that box. That is not a good idea. In other words, it has its own ineptitude built right into it. I don't even have to create a theory. The thing bunks itself right on the front end. Because everyone knows a Great Awakening isn't everyone all thinking the same, believing the same, assuming the same. It's diversity. It's awakening that we all are interdependent. We all grow together. Expand your consciousness. That is where you're going to find growth. You see the two levels of truth. And then finally, ultimate truth, the direct realization of emptiness, free from all conceptual fabrication. Okay, point made. Now I'm going to read you guys a koan. Go back here. This is called Nonplussed. I named this for you, Fortune. Now, this is true Zen teaching. If you guys want to know and understand how Zen works, okay, it doesn't work through all these words. It works through koans. You learn Zen through non-words. So I'm going to try that here. Long, long ago, there lived a Zen master named Yuma, who was praised by his neighbors as one living a pure life. A beautiful Japanese woman, Mio, who had never married, lived and worked for her parents, who owned a fish store adjacent to the ashram where Yuma worked or served. One day, without any warning, her parents discovered that Mio was with child. This made them very angry, and they were embarrassed because the entire town would find out their unmarried daughter was pregnant. They confronted her, and she would not confess who the father was. Well, after days of berating her with endless questions and consternation, Mio admitted it was Yuma, the Zen master next door. Well, this absolutely enraged the parents, and they immediately went next door to Yuma and demanded him to fess up to the act. And they yelled, "Our daughter told us that you are the father of her child." Yuma, nonplussed for all of their condemnations, simply said, "Is that so?" No matter how many times they claimed their daughter's confession and that he was the father, all he would respond was, "Is that so?" No follow. 6 months later, a baby boy is born, and the parents bring the baby to Yuma to raise. By this time, he had lost his reputation, and he was to be removed from the ashram in the spring. But this did not trouble Yuma. He smiled, carefully took the child from the parents, and cared very dearly for the little boy. He arranged to obtain fresh milk and rice meal from his neighbors, and he sorted a makeshift bed at the ashram and put in place everything he needed to raise the little boy. A month passed, and Mio could not stand being away from her son any longer. She told her parents she had lied about Yuma to ensure the boy was cared for and loved because she was not married, and that the real father of the child was the young man who had worked in their fish store downstairs. Whoops. You see? Watch what happens. The mother and father, horrified, dismayed, and embarrassed at their behavior, stared blankly at the ground in disbelief and obviously humiliation. Mio at once ran to Yuma to beg forgiveness and receive back her little boy. She approached Yuma and said, "I am so sorry, master. I lied and told everyone you were the father." Here's the key line. Yuma, nonplussed, hugged the young mother, handed her her beautiful baby boy, and said, "Is that so?" and walked away. You get the point? Nonplussed. You never know. It's the same story as the farmer who had the 7 horses show up, the 7 wild horses show up at his yard one morning, and all the townspeople came in and said, "Oh, isn't that great? That's wonderful. You got all these new horses that you're going to have in your stable." And the guy responds, "Maybe." So the next day, his boy is training the 7 horses and ends up breaking his leg. And so the neighbors all come in and say, "Oh, this is terrible. Your son broke his leg. If he hadn't been training all those horses, he would have been fine." And the farmer said, "Maybe." So then the next day, the government came and they wanted to collect all the young men in order to send them out to war. And so they saw the young boy had a broken leg, and so they didn't take him. And the neighbors all came around and said, "Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Your boy didn't have to go to war." And the farmer said, "Maybe." Get the point? Every single day, the time will change. There's no sense in losing your cool and going crazy, because the situation is going to change. And this is that whole nonplussed approach of Zen. This is the wise mind. This is the non-reactive mind. The last thing you want to be in the world is reactive, you see. And right here in these two stories that I just told you, you have just discovered, or you see with your eyes, a very profound truth. And that truth is the world is bigger than you think it is that day. It's bigger than what you can comprehend at any moment. So don't get final on it. Don't draw finality based on just what you know that day, because you're going to know more in the coming days. The man that gets off the train is a different man, a more knowledgeable man than got onto the train. You see, because even the train ride, he's learning, she's learning. You see, and the nonplussed individual stays in a non-reactive state of mind that allows them to maintain their cool no matter what happens. Isn't that what you want in your life? Isn't that called anti-anxiety? You see, and I didn't have to use words, or I should say, I didn't have to use doctrine to help you see that profound truth that will permanently change your behavior if you're willing to widen your awareness to integrate such a concept. This is Zen. That's Zen. That's Zen. If you want to know what Zen is and how it works, that's it. A bunch of stories and then meditation, contemplation to try to raise your awareness, raise your vibration to those Zen types of levels, those Zen types of understanding. And that's why I have these awesome slides to show you guys to help us grow. Now I'm gonna have you guys read this page 60 on your own, and I'm gonna go straight to some of my dissections of these pages so I'm not repeating like I've been doing so often. Okay, page 60, the paradox of self-deliverance. Let's learn some Zen. The Pali Canon suggests nirvana via rigorous effort, but Mahayana exposes a great paradox. Desiring not to desire perpetuates desire. This is why attempting to kill the ego only serves to reinforce ego. You guys are now all familiar with this. Isn't that great? Self-deliverance from means and ways reveals the futility of fixing. You see? That's the stories I told you. The farmer didn't try to fix the situation. He rolled with it. And this awakens humility. Do you see that? Self-deliverance from means and ways reveals the futility of fixing, and this awakens humility. So humility is an essential tool for anti-anxiety. Have you ever thought about that? The humble approach is a tool to realizing an anti-anxious state. If you can see the logic through your creativity, sensitivity, and IQ, you've just gotten all Zen. You just got all Zen, and you did it without even trying. Do you see the wisdom of spontaneity? Do you see it? Do you see how it supersedes memorizing? Because it's just coming out of you. Memorizing is a thought. It's a memory. It's a bringing to, meaning you're behind the ball. Whereas the person who has this Zen in their mind, they are holding the ball. Okay. An appropriate behavior stems from realizing, not obedience. That's key. The idea of the bodhisattva renouncing nirvana for the sake of others and central to Zen Buddhism. Compassion surpasses the selfish, sorry to say, ascetic withdrawal central to the conservative Theravada Buddhism. Do you follow? Compassion surpasses the selfish ascetic. Because the selfish ascetic is attempting to free themselves, whereas the bodhisattva is freeing others. And through the experiencing of freeing others, they also free themselves by aligning to this idea of awakening, sleeping, life, death. And by being in the flow, you are in a constant state of nirvana as you constantly experience the transcendence between life and death. There it is. The bodhisattva sees nirvana's contradiction as an ego-bound endeavor. The end-all be-all is the one thus come, not the one now absent. Can you follow that? The end-all be-all is the one thus come, not the one now absent. This is a plea for those that numb themselves They are absent. You cannot be the one thus come because you are not present. The one thus come is present. They have given themselves to it. The experience of life, the experience of spontaneity. And I have to avail myself if I'm going to experience spontaneity, because I can't plan it. I can't get it set up. I avail myself. How do I do that? Humility, fearlessness, the whole idea of full send, giving myself completely. This is how that which is in me comes out. This is why the person will chase after the child who's about to get hit with the car. They have given themselves away. Kenosis, the Bodhisattva, I read that just now. Bodhisattva is the one thus come, Tathagata, which is a vow to universal liberation. For even the dust will awaken eventually. Is it not true? Is it not true? In the billions of years, as these things compress into black holes and expound or expend into the void again, they recondense, right? It's universal liberation, recondensing and expanding, recondensing and expanding. That's your mind. That's your experiences, condensing, expanding. Do you see it? And this is emulated in the universe. It's emulated in the maturing of wine in barrels. In a constant state of growth and change, complexifying, growth, change, complexifying, breaking down, building up. Logic here implies that the Bodhisattva in Mahayana Buddhism's core is unattainable by trying. Trying not to grasp is the act of grasping. Running from fear is the experience of fear. Trying to realize nirvana only serves to not realize nirvana. This is the major difference in consciousness between the little, the hina, and the great Mahayana vehicles. The Pali Canon implies nirvana via rigorous self-control, self-deliverance, the paradox of desiring not to desire. This is fit for the dude with good theoretical grasps, but not the one with strong etheric sense. The etheric sense requires awareness, capacity, creativity, sensitivity. You see, and those are past the words. Look at what etheric means. Top right describes things relating to a subtle, non-physical energy, a spiritual plane, auras, or the etheric body in mysticism, or to compounds related to chemical ether. It implies a state that is airy, celestial, or intangible. Yeah? Brilliant. The great vehicle teaches trying is futile, for awareness, not laziness, leads to the bodhisattva realization. One surpasses, this is it. One surpasses resisting the wheel of samsara by swimming with it. And that is living sacrilege to the Hinayana Buddhism. Do you see? The contradiction is built right into Buddhism. It's built right in there. The contradictions between the Hinayana and the Mahayana. And this is why Zen is so intriguing, because it's neither and both, just like you. Just like you. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. You're still talking about form within the emptiness. The deepest doctrine that's available. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. You still have to deal with words. This is why the Zenist, the one that is aligned to the Tao, has moved past the words. Move past it, move past the rigor, past the memorization, and what you do to become a Buddha. See, there's no doing, there's no try. Makes sense? Let's just read here in this highlight. But from a deeper standpoint, it became obvious that the idea of the Bodhisattva is implicit in the logic of Buddhism, that it flows naturally from the principle of not grasping and from the doctrine of the unreality of the ego. For if nirvana is the state in which the attempt to grasp reality has wholly ceased through the realization of its impossibility, here, what we've been doing, it will obviously be absurd to think of nirvana itself as something to be grasped or attained. You ever thought about that? Absurd to think of it as something to be grasped or attained. To think of nirvana as a state to be attained by some being. You see, look here, the next page over on the right. The corollary of this position is that if there is no nirvana which can be attained, and if in reality there is no individual entities, you see, it will follow that our bondage in the round is merely apparent. It's in your mind. And that, in fact, we are already in nirvana. Have you thought about that? We are already in nirvana, so that to seek nirvana is the folly of looking for something one has never lost. That is a very deep insight there. Attempting to achieve nirvana means you will never realize nirvana because you are attempting to achieve it. It's realized through release. Release is not trying. I'm letting go. I'm not trying. I'm letting go. This is profundity. This is profundity. Those who, afraid of the sufferings arising from the discrimination of birth and death, samsara, seek for nirvana. You see, the reason why you're trying to be better is the reason that you're not. Do you see this? It's showing it to you plain as day right here. Life from the discrimination of birth and death, samsara, seek for nirvana. Do not know that birth and death and nirvana are not to be separated from one another. And seeing that all things subject to discrimination have no reality, they imagine that nirvana consists in the future annihilation of the senses and their fields. And what do you know about the future? It doesn't exist, and neither does the past. Now, the eternal now. That's it. The ultimate truth, so to speak. The eternal now. And here it is in the top right, like I emulate here in the yellow. Seeking nirvana is like looking for your glasses while wearing them. You cannot lose or gain it. Nirvana, you are in it. It's simply a matter of reckoning. You can't lose something that is outside of words, is outside of tangibility. You can't lose that. And this is what composes you. What is you? What is the world? It's simply realized. It's not something to attain. Now, and there it is right there, page 61. No nirvana to attain. No beings to save. There is no self. The idea of the bodhisattva is, I love this stuff. Can I tell you guys how much I love this freaking stuff? And I love it that I'm sharing it with you. It would suck doing this by myself. You know, that what makes this awesome is that we're sharing this together. The idea of because we're growing together. I mean, what better thing can you do with your life than to expand your consciousness and grow with others? This is it. We're doing it. Do you see? We're doing it. The idea of the bodhisattva is rooted in release and ego unreality. Nirvana can't be grasped. No entities exist. There are liberated beings, yet none truly liberated. Do you get that? There are liberated beings, yet none truly liberated. Do you get that without trying? I'm going to chat to find out. I want to see a yes. So bad. Are you seeing this without trying? This line right here. The idea of the bodhisattva is rooted in release and ego unreality. Nirvana can't be grasped. No entities exist. There are liberated beings, yet none truly liberated. Do you see that? Yes, Silver Soul, I see you. I see you. Do you see it? Yes, Whispers of the Universe. Yes, you see it. The bodhisattva holds no ego convention. There are liberated beings, yet none truly liberated. I think that's fantastic. Shan, yes, buddy. Yes, you see it. This is brilliant. Yes, Stacy. Yes. Look at this. Yes. Okay. This, I don't see the line. Marlowe's. Oh, you're being funny. You're being funny. Yeah, you see it? I don't know. You guys are being funny. Okay, you guys are just messing with me. Okay, good. You guys see it. That's brilliant. Media assets. Okay, I love, that's why I love this stuff, because you just don't hear this today. You just don't hear this stuff today. And that's why it is so important that we hear about it. Okay, let's get back to media assets. Okay. Now, continuing, we are already in Nirvana, so to go seeking for it is folly. In fact, no Nirvana attainment implies no awareness of samsara. See, it just keeps going. Do you see how it just keeps going? See how it just keeps going? Heavier and heavier and heavier. The bodhisattva stays in samsara, the endless wheel of becoming. Understanding Nirvana isn't elsewhere. You see, it's in the eternal now. It's now. Nirvana is now. The center is everywhere and circumference nowhere. There's nothing to seek. There's nothing to find. You discover it. Fearing the endless rotation of samsara is to miss the inseparability from nirvana. In other words, samsara is nirvana. Nirvana is samsara in the greater picture. The eternal now. Don't think in days, terms of hours, light. Get out of that. You see? The eternal now. This is to be absorbed. Warning, striving annihilates an arisen world, and grasping spawns its illusion. This is gold. Awakening involves samsara as part and parcel of nirvana, as rebirth must also be released. Yet, who is the releaser? Who's the releaser? Doesn't exist. From what is released? Nothing. Because the only holding going on is in your mind. That's the only holding going on. And who rebirths? Who rebirths? Who rebirths? Ultimate reality rebirths. That's you. That's you. The wonder. The wonder. This is why salvational pursuits are empty. There is nothing to save. I'm telling you, that is how you get out of Christianity, Islam, the Muslim world, the atheist world. That is how you get out, right freaking there. Right freaking there. Seeking for peace is the experience of anxiety. Look at that truth. Seeking for it is folly. The center is everywhere and circumference nowhere. I am so excited to present this stuff to you. This is fantastic. Add the stage. Let's keep going. The circle of grasping. Okay, now here we go. Now this is big. This is big. Page 62, and I put it in all red so that when you go back and review these in your files, excuse me, you will recognize this is important. This is one of the most important pages in the book right here, page 62, and we're going to read it together. To strive then to blot out the conventional world of things and events is to admit that it exists in reality. You see, it doesn't. You see? Hence, the eternal now, it doesn't exist. See? It only exists in your mind. You are the eternal now. Hence, the Mahayanist principle that what has never arisen does not have to be annihilated. You see? What has never arisen does not have to be annihilated. This shows you that the ascetic is pursuing themselves because they think there's a self, because they think the self has to be destroyed. You see? Its demise is built right into it. These are not the idle speculations and sophistries of a system of subjective idealism or nihilism. They are answers to a practical problem which may be expressed thus. If my grasping of life involves me in a vicious circle, how am I to learn not to grasp? How can I try to let go when trying is precisely not letting go? Stated in another way, to try not to grasp is the same thing as to grasp. You see? Since its motivation is the same, my urgent desire to save myself from a difficulty. These are the same thing. I cannot get rid of this desire since it is one and the same desire as the desire to get rid of it. Do you see? This is the familiar everyday problem of the psychological double bind. And you guys have heard me say that word so many times, of creating the problem by trying to solve it, of worrying because one worries of being afraid of fear or worries of being afraid of worry. See, we make our own demise. Mahayana philosophy proposes a drastic but effective answer, which is the theme of a class of literature called Prajna Paramita, or wisdom for crossing to the other shore, a literature closely associated with the work of Nagarjuna, who ranks with Shankara as one of the greatest minds of India. Stated baldly, and I would suggest you read this guy's words because he knew what time it was. The answer is that all grasping, even for nirvana, is futile, for there is nothing to be grasped. This is Nagarjuna's celebrated Sunyavada, his doctrine of the void. Remember I told you that's the doctrine of the void. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, otherwise known as the Madhyamika, the middle way, because it refutes all metaphysical propositions by demonstrating their relativity. Brilliant. By demonstrating their relativity. From the standpoint of academic philosophy and the doctrine of Nagarjuna are no doubt some form of nihilism or absolute relativism, but this is not Nagarjuna's standpoint. The dialectic which he demolishes, there's the word, demolishes every conception of reality is merely a device for breaking the vicious circle of grasping. And the terminus of his philosophy is not the abject despair of nihilism, but the natural and uncontrived bliss, ananda, of liberation. The Sunyavada takes its name from the term sunya, void, or sunyata, voidness, with which Nagarjuna described the nature of reality, or rather, of the conceptions of reality which the human mind can form. And here's your can form. And here's your pro tip. A nihilist rejecting and an egotist self-consuming are opposite ends of the same pole. They're both trapped. One is living by rejecting, which is the nihilist. One is living as an egotist, self-consuming. You see, it's the same pole. They're both dying of consumption. One is consuming, rejecting. One is consuming the self. Do you see? Both are dead ends, the middle way. The middle way, the circle of grasping. So question, how does one not grasp when one is trying to grasp? The answer from Mahayana is get over yourself. And exactly, get over yourself. All grasping is futile. Nothing is graspable. Bathe in the wonder. Develop your respect and love for others through the ideas of wonder rather than the ideas of duty. Do you see? The answer from Mahayana, get over yourself. All grasping is futile. Nothing is graspable. The end. Nagarjuna's doctrine of the void refutes metaphysics via relativity, the relativity of reality. Reality is spirit. Spirit is density, not convention. Follow. Not convention. A force, not a substance. An energy, not a form. This is not nihilism, but a tool for liberation's bliss, ananda. Sunyata, or the void, does not negate reality, but conventions about reality, beliefs, ideas, hopes, verbal substance. Reality is relative, not rational. Look at what I have here for what relative means. Relativism, middle, the doctrine that knowledge, truth, and morality exist in relation to culture, society, or historical contexts. There are no absolutes, and there you go. Relativism. If I want to be relative, I have to understand that ultimate knowledge and ultimate truth definitely are related to culture and society, but they are past them. But you know them through the culture and society, It is related to perception formed in the non-existing mind, and the society affects these types of perceptions. You see, you rise above these things. Everything is relative, not rational. Everything is related, not finite, not absolute. This is why doctrines will steer you astray for the most part. Even the concept of void cannot be substantiated. Sitrabatsky's relativity doctrine claimed there is no self nature. There is mutual arising. Life is relational, and so being must have non-being, contrasts to realize. And folks, again, this is what I have really tried to help you understand. This is why duality is important, just like your ego is important. They render to you ultimate truth, because ultimate truth is found through experience. Experience requires my participation, which requires my presence, my mind, to be present in the eternal now. These things all work together for your understanding. That's why it's all like this. So never get the idea to eliminate the ego. That's a bad idea. Never get the idea of eliminating the self. That's a bad idea. It's through the self, the mind, duality, right, that I am learning what I cannot learn otherwise. I learn what I will truly know and truly integrate through experience only. Experience only. So if I want to know the truth of God, of ultimate reality, of the wonder, I have to participate in the wonder. I can't read about it. I can't go find out about it from some friend. I can't go watch a movie and now I know. I integrate everything, all my experiences, and this brings it about through the release of those experiences. You see, that's the contradiction. And this is why the Bodhisattva is such a huge concept, because it's actually doing the antithesis of what the Hinayana is stating, which is you must release from samsara. And the Bodhisattva is integrating samsara, not locked down to samsara, integrating it as a part of the Nirvana experience, which is living life. And the most you can experience Nirvana is through giving yourself away, trusting, faith, full send, presence, awareness. You'll seek in anxiety otherwise, because you think it's something that you have to find. It's something that is away from you or can be separated from you, and it can't. It can't. You guys want to go to comments for a minute? I haven't been in comments for a while. Let's see what you guys are doing. Yeah. Don't go back into the wheel. Simply integrate it. Simply understand. Experience is important. Experience is important. Having an idea of the self is important, even though that's Zen sacrilege. It's important to understand, folks. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Duality is important in the sense of bringing understanding, not important in the sense of finality, not important in the sense of grasping. No. In the sense of release, in the sense of integration, release in the sense of not grabbing. Okay, let's see your questions here. Chuck's analogy of the costume ego wears is what we must shed, not the ego itself, but the illusion coveting it. Yes, thank you, Shen. Love having you here, Shen. Thank you. Here, Chuck. Hi, Catlin Kiss. Chuck, I'm experiencing anxiety attacks. I can understand on the intellectual level, but everything, both personal and on a global scale, is swamping my ability to function in an effective way. Okay, the first thing you need to do, I would suggest, not that you need to do Catlin, because you don't need to do anything. The first thing I suggest is disconnecting from resonations that are bringing you into the anxious state. So the first thing to begin to quench anxiety is finding out, asking the question that Parsifal asked the second time he visited the king, what's wrong here? What is causing my anxiousness? What is allowing that anxiety to fester in me? That's the question. So first, what I want to do is identify what are my anxiety sources And I want to make sure to bring those into some kind of understanding or chop them off, so they're no longer continuing to suck my resonance down. It's like a person who is trying to leave a religion and they keep going to the meetings, the Bible studies, whatever, of that religion. They're still attempting through the religion to get away from the religion. And when you're experiencing anxiety, if I'm trying to experience anti-anxiety, plugging myself into anxious states, I'm going backwards. So to release from that religion, I stop going to their Bible studies. I stop going to the meetings. And so to release from anxiety attacks, some of these things you're experiencing, you begin to stop attending, stop putting your attention to that stuff that's lowering your frequency. So if the media is lowering your frequency, stop watching the freaking media. Involve yourself in your own hobbies, your own interests, things that make you resonate higher. Your hobbies, your interests, music. Does that make sense? Because only Catlin, the only person that can free you from anxiety is you. A doctor can't, a medication can't, a movie can't. It's an awareness issue. And then once you realize what is causing that anxiety, you learn why that anxiety is giving you anxiety. For instance, if I want to know how the magician does their trick, I have to find out how the trick is done in order to release from my anxiety every time I see it. If I want to release from the anxiety of the news, I find out what are they not telling me, because it's what they're not telling me that's keeping me from understanding what they are telling me. So I'm going to go find out what they're not saying, and then that will release me from what they are saying, because then I will understand why they are saying it. You release yourself. If you want to escape an abuse bond, find out what is the mindset of my abuser. Why are they like this? What is causing them to behave like this and treat me this way? Or you're with a partner that's psycho. Find out why they're that way. Then you won't be taken when they behave like that, because you understand, oh, I know why they're behaving like that. So you're not taken. It's like the people that put me down in chat. I know why they're doing that. It's their own self-lack. It's their own projection onto me. So when they say the negative things, it just rolls off the back, because I understand, oh, they're in the midst of a self-consumption. They're in the midst of their own lack. So if I respond, what I do is I feed them lack, meaning I'm feeding their revelation of the method by saying that. Meaning that they're trying to pull me down by getting me to believe what they're saying, to realize their method, the egregore. And so by being above what they're stating, you see, above meaning you know why they're talking like that, you're not even affected. Not even affected. And it's the same thing with this anxiety attack. Find out the mechanics, the psychological mechanics that are setting you off, and then quench them by knowing them. By knowing the psychology of my abuser, I release from the bonds that abuser put on me. That's why if I'm in a relationship and my spouse is beating the hell out of me, I'm going to have to find out why they're doing that. And then I'm going to have to take defense classes, and I'm going to have to figure out how to defend myself, as well as understanding their psychology, to get out from being controlled by them. I have to do the work. That's the thing. I have to do it. No one's going to save me. You have to do the work. And Catlin, you know that. That's why you're asking this question. You're doing the work. You're doing the, okay, does that help, Catlin? Okay, I'll wait for her answer in a minute. I'm going to get to it. Hey, Chuck, questions for me in all caps, please. Chuck, can you explain the title of your book you're going through for the new viewers? The book I am going through. Oh, the way of Zen? Is that what you're talking about? The book because that's the book we're going through, the way of Zen. I mean, this is what we're talking about, is the way of Zen. I mean, this is what we're talking. This is the way of Zen. What I'm talking about, you guys, right now is the way of Zen. Okay. I'm trying to keep folks' mind open to Christ Jesus, God in the flesh, follower of the way, not the church. Yeah, understand though, friend, that the words of Jesus were handed to you by the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church is a child collection and murdering institution, and it has always been that. So the child collection, pedophilic murdering institution are the ones that told you what Jesus said. Do you understand that? The Catholic Church is a reformation of Rome, and Rome collapsed from corruption, and that corruption built the church. So be very careful. Be very careful what portions of the Bible you're listening to. Just what I'm going to say. Chuck, lay it on me here. What if those resonations are forced upon you, Chuck? Now, see, that's very real. And those resonations, meaning like you're being tied down. I mean, if you're being tied down, if you're at that level, there's, recovery is going to happen after that kind of thing stops, because that, if you're continuing to be tied down and you can't escape, meaning you can't escape these low frequencies, I mean, there's only so much that could be done. That's part of the tragedy of our situation here on this planet. That's part of the tragedy, is that some people know this, but they can't get out of it still. That will change as the society awakens. They won't be able to hide anymore. Chuck, can the costume ego be that we are living mirrors for one another, for better or for worse? Love you and your work. Amazing and so clear. Thank you, Fortune. Brilliant. That we are living mirrors for one another. Yeah, the type of ego or mirror in the mind that you want is one that reflects without holding, so that when the image is away, like walks out from the view of the reflection, you're not chasing that reflection. You're not caught. You don't keep the image on the mirror even after the mirror is gone. And this is the image of the perfect mind. It sees reality. It takes it in, it all in, fingers in right there. But as soon as the day ends, as soon as the moment ends or the hour ends, whatever, it moves on. It moves on. No holding. No images left in the mirror, so that when I'm reflecting you and you're reflecting me, there's no obstruction. There's no fog on the mirror. This is the picture of the perfect mind. It's just reflecting and moving on. And that's the beauty. That's what it's for. Reflecting, navigating. Yes. Right on, Catlin. I'm glad that worked for you. Awesome. I'm glad that worked for you. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, where's the next all caps? You want to keep going on Zen? I'll keep reading my slides. Okay. Here, what's this? I kept seeing the word truth. What is this? Hi, Johnny, come lately. For my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge, for they have rejected knowledge that was given to them. Yeah. So also shall I reject ye. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you sovereign and free. And this right there, you can see the Khazarian Mafia, these words from the Bible. The Khazarian Mafia has to tell you some truths within the egregore. There has to be some type of sense of the egregore that is believable and true. This is how they trap you with truth. You are in, let me tell you something, folks. You are in one heck of a puzzle. Okay, you are in one heck of a puzzle, and it takes this is why it's not easy. This is why navigating and finding out this stuff is hard work and takes a long time, because life is really a magnificent puzzle, and you ain't going to solve it with any one way, any one perspective, any one method, any one word. You see, and so you're going to find little truths all over the place, because you're in a wonder, and its truth is in patterns everywhere. It can't hide from you in that sense. The truth is there to be seen. It's simply a matter of your seeing it. And this line here is brilliant, because it shows right through the Bible, which I just condemned. It shows that, yes, there are little things in it that are truth, because those that wrote it have to do that in order for you to believe it. And we all know the truth liberates. The truth sets you free. It's just that the Bible attempted to say, just my truth, just the truth in me is truth. You can't trust any of the others. And that's right then when you know that's not an ultimate source of truth, because it would never be concerned with that. It would never, you wouldn't put it into that kind of context if you were taken by it. You see? Brilliant. Thank you for that, Johnny Come Thank you. Brilliant. It just shows you the wonder that we're in. It just shows you, in many ways it does. In many ways it does. I feel that my art music is just selfish compared with the horrors. You know, Catelyn, I really understand that, love. I really do. Please understand, though, we must resonate these horrors out of the world. This is what we've got to do as a community, because we've been complicit and we've gone with the egregores and we believe the revelation of the method. It's now our responsibility to do the antithesis of that, which is normal. Life, from death comes life. And so from the death of these means and ways that this world has gone about with its horrors and terrible evil, okay, we must use our love to counter that. We must use our art, our gifts, our drives and motivation towards connecting to one another and connecting to ourselves. This is what is going to shine the light to overcome the horrors. It's not just a decision to go out and get the bad guys, quote unquote. We raise our vibration so that those low frequencies cannot coexist with us. Do you understand? You raise your vibration so high that people just can't, the empty folks that don't want to change can't be around you. You're too annoying. You're speaking too many things that they've already decided on, and you're not agreeing with what they've decided. They don't want to hear you. And they're showing you right there with their low vibration and your high vibration. There's no commingling here. They're going to have to raise their vibration if they're going to come around. And that's their job. They're going to have to do it their own way. And that's not your job to make sure they do. Your job is to shine light, shine your art, shine your music unabashedly. Just like they've been unabashed in their evil, be unabashed in your love. Full send. Fearless, full send. Unabashed. Seriously, it's the same way they've been with us, have they not? They're not bashful. They'll put the rape in front of you. They'll put the crying kids in front of you. I've shown it in my videos. They are not, they're not trying to hide it from you. They're putting it right in your face so that you'll get normalized to it and accept it. We have to have that same impetus inside of us, that same level of love, that same level of compassion, meaning the counter to what they're doing. The counter to their ultimate hate will be our ultimate love, you see. And the counter to their ultimate taking is going to be we will counter with ultimate giving. I mean, we're going to give that love into the world and let it grow, let it change the world, and it will. It will. It will. Chuck, hey Ben, can you explain the title of the book you're going through for the new viewers? Okay, am I missing something here? We're reading The Way of Zen. We are in The Way of Zen by Alan Watts. That's what we're studying. We're in The Way of Zen. And if you want to get that book, you can go out into the internet. And if you watch Zen Part 1 that I posted, I post the link. You get a free copy and you can read it anytime. And this is what we're doing. We're going through the book, The Way of Zen. And we're going through it page by page. And so we've been pretty methodical and pretty detailed. And so now tonight is an attempt to begin to accelerate from the pace that we've been going. And so that's what we're going through. That's the book we're going through, unless I'm missing something here. But that's what I'm assuming that you're saying. Man, Ben, I hope I'm thinking right here. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. I hope I answered your question. I'll skip. Yes, The Way of Zen. Okay, good. That's what you want. Okay, yes, we're in The Way of Zen. Sorry. That's easy to mistake. Yeah, all of my past episodes of Zen are available on my channel. If you go to my live section, You'll see the whole thing, all of them, 1 to 18 now. Number 2 was taken down because one of the people that I used to show their artwork was mad that I showed their artwork. Not kidding. And so they sent a copyright infringement to me because they were angry that I showed their artwork on my video. Not kidding. And I had to delete the video. So I had it captured. And so then I put it, it's now under my regular video. So you won't see that one in live. Number 2 is not there. It's in the live. And I had to edit it out to get rid of the stuff that I use. Incredible. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it incredible? Incredible. They were mad. They were mad at me. And I'm like, look, I'm promoting your work. I put beautiful music to it just because I don't have sound. And they weren't talking. They were just doing the art. They weren't even talking. So it wasn't like I was, covering over what they were trying to say. They were just doing the art. Like the guy today was making the crossbow. He's just doing the crossbow thing. And that's what it was. It was a company that makes Buddhist bells. And I was showing how they made these gorgeous brass bells. And I gave their location on the video. I showed where they were made. I showed the YouTube page. I gave them credit for everything. And they write me and say, how dare you? We're giving you a copyright strike. Took the video down. Polarity Josh is here? Bro! Thank you for being here, friend. That means a lot, Josh. Josh, that means a lot, dude. Thank you for being here, man. Wow. Dude, that means the world to me, dude. Thank you for being here. You're making me cry, dude. Thank you so much for being here. That means the world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, isn't it a wacky world? I got a copyright strike for it. So it's going to be off here, I think, in a month or something. Maybe then I'll get better penetration in the world. Apparently, this physical realm isn't the only trap, but there's a waking up we must do. Yeah. After exiting the physical plane also. It's growth. It's growth. We grow. We're soul beings. Souls grow. That's why the universe expands and grows. The universe is essentially a soul growing. It's a part and portion of the event unfolding. Yeah. So we must do after exiting the physical plane also. I wonder how your God Eaters relates to the Gnostic escape. It's really interesting how many people think I'm Gnostic because I use at times Gnostic terminology, but I'm not Gnostic. The Gnostic escape, you see, look at their motivation though, because see, the Gnostics think that the world was built by a demon. And so the reason why you leave is because the world is built by a demon. Imagine how hard it would be if that was your philosophy, Gnosticism, how hard it would be to appreciate and think of the world as Nirvana, as a wonder, when you think that the world was made by a demon. How do you do that? How do I realize the state of Nirvana when I have assumed that the reality I'm in, the world, the universe, was made by a demon? This is where you've got to expand your consciousness from, in this case, the Gnostic idea, and realize our world is growing out of the void. There's no creator. There's nothing doing it. It becomes. In the same way, you're not doing your life. You become your life by participating, giving yourself away. And it's going to be so hard psychologically. I mean, you'll never get past that. You'll never give yourself away when you think that the world was made by a demon. But you see, giving yourself away to nature, right? That's a beautiful philosophy, even though it deals with the self. And so I have a really hard time with Gnosticism because that's their start point. That's where understanding begins. And you begin by understanding that in their eyes, light is impurity. That's how they see it, that it's a wave, it's a particle, it's an impurity. And the one true self, or the one God, or the one ultimate reality, right? There would be no light to taint it in the Gnostic view. But see, I see all of life, all of our experiences, all that we see as all expressions of this nirvana, perfection, wonder. It's not tainted. It's not inherently bad or fallen. There's nothing to fix or correct. And what is being, quote unquote, fixed and corrected on this planet are those that captured the planet. Because right there, you're going against the law of nature. You cannot capture a planet and stay in congruency with the development of the universe, because when you capture that planet, you stagnate it. And the universe is a growing enterprise. And so when you're trying to create and maintain stagnation in a garden, it doesn't work. And this is why eventually the truth outs. That's why eventually the truth will be known. It can't be hidden, because we are in a growing universe, and a captured system doesn't grow. That's why people still believe the same religion now as they did 2,000 years ago. Same thing as 325. People still are believing that rigmarole. It's a captured space. You see, and then that's why the evil ones have worked so hard to keep it that, because they know they're going against universal energy, the energy of development. I believe that's one of the reasons why they passed on technology, to allow us to just kind of keep growing a little bit, to keep them hidden. Because if this thing is staying Stone Age, and never grows, the universe is going to notice this, and things will start to happen to change that, because it's a growing enterprise. The earth is a growing body. It's a conscious organism, and that consciousness cannot be held in check forever. Good point. I'm going to go to the bottom. There's too many questions to find them all. If you already posted a question way earlier and you're frustrated now because I said I'm going to go to the bottom, just repost your question. Go to your question that you have, copy, paste it right here at the comment, and I'll answer it. I'm right at the bottom. Sweet. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Love it. Hey, Chuck, my parents both have here. Hey, Chuck, my parents both have been meditating as part of Sikhism for over 30 years. My mom sees the light source and says she can see it with her eyes open now. Have you heard of others doing this? Yes, because that is our potential within us, and there are many paths to it. There are many paths to it, and there's not one set way. That's why it's crazy for us to all agree. There's not one set way. Everybody has their own unique way. And so it's just a matter of how wide is your perspective going to be. And here's a good example. My dad lived a great life. My dad lived a very honest life. They're not going to find skeletons in my father's closet. He really has done his best. And he's very satisfied with his life. He's very happy with what he's done. He's content. He's content. He thinks he did it. And my dad thinks he's aware. But what my dad doesn't know is his awareness is actually quite small. And that's okay. That's where my dad's at. But he's not going to grow. My father is not going to grow in his doctrine. He's not going to grow in his theology. He's going to be memorizing and keeping that same theology doctrine that he's had in him since he was a young boy. Okay, that's enough for my dad. My dad is satisfied with that. He's satisfied. So he's not looking, he's not lacking or any of that kind of stuff. He's satisfied. But see, understand, that's a limited view. If that's good enough for you, fine. Nature has no problem with that. Nature is never going to force you to have a bigger awareness. If you're content and happy with your small little world, nature's got no problem with that. You're going to stay in your small little world. It's up to you. You're a nature creature. It's up to you. You do what you want. If you want to expand, you want to have a bigger experience, you want to know more than what just the Bible told you, more than what Muhammad told you, more than the Book of Mormon told you, you want a bigger experience, you want a wider concept, you want a wider consciousness, okay? Well, you're going to have to go out and merit that, because nature's not going to hand it to you. And so in here, and with your parents, they've been meditating for 30 years in that space. That's a good enough space for your mom. That's a good enough space for your dad. Great. Let them be happy there. That's why when I meet my dad, I don't go up to dad and say, hey, dad, did you know that there's a Khazarian mafia and that they're out to get you and that they wrote Christianity? Did you know that, dad? I would never say that to my dad, and I never have. Never have. Never one time even tried to talk to him about the Khazarian mafia. Not even a try. He's happy and content where he's at. Your parents are happy and content with that world. Great. Great. Awesome. Let them run down that world and be content in that space. Cool. If it's good enough for them, awesome. Awesome. Here. I love your unconditional love for mom and dad. My father is suffering still. He stopped speaking. What a religious man, but I love him. Yeah, absolutely. 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 Every reason to love him even more. What does this have to do with the price of tea in China? What has to do with price of tea in China? Everything's related that I've said. Explain further if you think I'm not related. Been sending your God Eater series to a bunch of people as an intro to your work. Thank you. Is there something else you think would be a better intro series for the layman? Thanks. It's what hooked me. Well, it's easy to like the Khazarian Mafia series. It's easy to like because it tells you secrets. And it tells you things that help free you. Now, here's the thing. If you're trying to reach a person who's, say, a religionist, I've got a video called Oriented to Conflict, and I specifically go into the contradictions that go along with believing in religion. And I spend about 30 minutes going through that. I actually had a friend who's been watching my stuff for years, and she hadn't seen that video, and she saw that video this week. And she said it was fantastic. She said that, not me. She said that. And so that's another good one. My audiobook is great for people who are the thinkers and the long, I'm in this for the long haul kind of person who wants to learn, and they understand that learning takes time. It takes hours and hours and dedication. Read my book. My whole book is set up as vignettes, and it's set up so that you can go in and just read a vignette and then set it down, and then come back, flip through it again, open up and read a vignette, and it will hold its own. I built the book so that a person could sit down and just grab a page and start reading, and they'd be okay. I didn't try to build the book as a brick wall or math, where if you don't get page 1 and 2 and you read page 50, you're screwed. I tried to approach each vignette as a perspective for the Christian, so that when they read that vignette, it would show them a little portion of their world that they're blind to. Because Christianity and Islam and these Western religions, Judaism, have enormous blind spots, because they're all in a Plato's cave situation. And so the book attempts to break a person out of that enormous blind spot by showing them just a little bit of light. Just a little bit of light in the cave that they're in, so that the light doesn't blind them like I'm a fanatic yelling, but it's just a little teeny tiny dose of truth, and it's a small enough source of light that their eyes can handle it, their mind can handle it. And that's the way I tried to write the book, to where a person could read one of those vignettes and put the book down and be like, okay, I don't want to read that anymore, but put the book down, and that little light would be in their head, that little portion of their blind spot is shining. So that long after they put the book down, they still would have that light center in their head, and it would hopefully lead them out of the traps of religion, the traps of believing and thinking in very specific and certain ways. Did you answer this question, Ashkan? I would love to know what this has to do with the price of tea in China. Yeah, they're real aggressive. I'm sorry. And I'll admit this to you guys. I was the same way, okay? I was the same way. I was the biggest a-hole Christian you can imagine, because I knew I was right. I had it all figured out. I was going to heaven, and all these clowns that didn't think like me, they're all going to hell, and they frickin' deserve it. I was not a nice guy like that. My compassion, my empathy was crushed by religion. It wasn't until I left religion that I became empathetic and compassionate. Honest to God, I swear to God. I swear to God. It wasn't until I left those forms and doctrines that my heart was able to be free and express itself, so that I could have empathy for others. And that really was the transition for me, in not getting upset when they believe differently than me. So that when the Christian comes in and just says all this stuff, that I'm a heretic and all these things, it just rolls off of me, because I've realized this deeper sense of empathy and care, in that listen, friend, I see why you're saying that to me. I see why you're being degrading to me. It's okay. I totally know why you're doing that, because I used to be the same way. Here are some ways that you can free yourself from that bond, that you can free yourself from that bondage. Because it really, I mean, looking back at myself and the way that I was and thinking that I was right, I was in bondage. I thought I was free. I thought I had freed myself from the bondage, not realizing that by believing in that absolute religion, I was putting myself into bondage. I was the prisoner and the warden. I was in the bondage as the prisoner, and then as the warden, I kept myself in there because I know I'm right. This is the trap of the Christian. It's multi-layer. So you cannot reach a hardcore 40, 50-year religionist by bombarding them. You are going to have to be cunning. You're going to have to be smart, and you're going to have a very long-term, subtle, gentle plan to show them the light. And that's why when I was on the cruise with my dad last year and I had some one-on-one time with him, I didn't even bring it up. I just talked about what I was doing in my life, because then I had the live at that time. Remember when I left, I was in the Rosicrucian series, and I told all you guys I'm going to be gone for a week. I won't be doing the series for a while. It was during that time. So I was really neck deep in doing something that I loved. And I simply just tried to convey to him and Mom, I'm doing what I love. I feel very fulfilled. I feel a passion inside that I've never felt, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. You know, and this is how I shined light without attacking them. Because in their mind, they're like, you've left Christianity. There's no way you're happy. You're obviously the prodigal son. There's no way when you leave Jesus that you're happy and content. That can't be true. And so what I tried to convey to them was just my honest, authentic life that I was living. Not like I'm just this miraculous thing that's happened, but rather I've just re-steered my priorities. I've just allowed the heart to come out in my life. I've reduced the fear by releasing from the doctrine and the have to and you must and you should, and just remove those kind of lines from my life to free, right? To think for myself and to think from a compassion, a connected, oriented center, which is my humanness. And the more I release from a religion, the more humane I become, because I'm not a religionist. I'm a human. I'm a nature creature. And when I force my nature creature self, my nature creature way into a box, into a building, a belief system, I've crushed my nature, because nature doesn't fit in a box. You see, it's a challenge. Stay at it. Love them to death. That's the best way to reach them. Oh, nice. Good deal. Gotcha. Yeah, if you want to talk to me personally, you can come to Zoom. I meet one-on-one with folks. It's totally free. Just show up at 1 o'clock on Fridays, and you can sit and chat with me face to face. I'll sit and chat with you for 20 minutes in Zoom. You got questions, you got frustrations or problems, I'll do everything I can to shine light. I can't say that I got the answers, but I can certainly shine a different light for you. I do need it. I do have that for you. Please do. It's very eye-opening to the psychology that you're caught in. It's very eye-opening. Yes, and I did that this week, Chen. Interestingly, I watched parts 3A, B, and C just to refamiliarize myself, and I liked it. It was good to refamiliarize myself with what I said. Hi, Chuck. Love your channel. Thank you, Macy. What are your thoughts on veganism versus carnivore? For spiritual attainment and health reasons. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not sure you're going to like my answer, Macy, but I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be very gentle, okay? I'm going to do what I can to present this in a way, because I have a feeling maybe you might be vegan, or you might have people that are close to you that are vegan. And I had some conversations with my naturopathic doctor, with my enzymologist, and with my Chinese medicine specialist. These are the people that told me this. So this isn't something that I got off YouTube one night when I was up late watching YouTube. This actually came out of my private meetings with these doctors that I was paying to care for me, and I was living off of their words. So you need to understand everything that they're saying to me. We're on the level. This is life and death that we're talking about here. So when I talk to these doctors, it wasn't fun and games. This is on the level, okay? So we talked about that, because one of the ways some people fight cancer is with veganism or with carnivore. And so we talked about that. Now, what you need to understand, we as people, as human beings, we come out of meat and vegetable eating societies, okay? That's what we come out of. We come out of societies for thousands and thousands of years that had a diet that was very wide. Now, I understand there's processing. I understand food is different. Please don't get ahead of what I'm saying. So they had a very, very wide range of food that they ate. And these were very healthy cultures. I mean, imagine their conditions, what they had to survive in order to survive then. And you would have to be a healthy person to do it. I mean, look at the age. They weren't living that long because life was so hard. So you know their diet supported a tough lifestyle. And so that diet had meat and vegetables, because these two things bring to you biological diversity from which your body can build itself. Now, modern day, okay, we got processed foods. We got foods that are very different than the wholesome, holistic foods that folks were eating 200 years ago and before, okay? So there have been morphs that have begun to surface as the human collective realizes, you know, the vast majority of this kind of food that I'm eating is poisonous because of the processing. So I'm going to eliminate that from my diet. So we get a bunch of folks that become gluten intolerant because the advisors for the society are saying everybody's got to eat grain. And the reason why they're telling everybody to eat grain is because the advisors know they're forcing all the farmers to pay all the grain with glyphosate. Well, we know that glyphosate destroys your gut. So we have all these people that are eating this whole diet, you know, they're eating everything, but every time they're eating bread or grains, they're destroying their probiotics in their intestines, which then causes them not to be able to digest other foods, which then causes them to have stomach cramps, which then cause them to think, I'm now gluten intolerant and I can't digest these foods. What am I doing to poison myself? And I'm now going to eliminate all those foods that I think are poisoning me. And so you start, what begins to then happen in society is you start having people that are only eating specific wedges or lines of food. And because our body is a responsive, reactive organism, it then begins to try to hone itself to the types of food that you are forcing yourself to eat, meaning that that's all you're giving it. You're not giving it anything else. And what Dr. Dickie Fuller told me was that only, I'm sorry to say this is going to really upset the vegans. My doctors told me, this isn't me, they told me only 10% of the population can be a vegan and be healthy. And so what then happens in the population is you have 100 people that try veganism, and 10 of those people have unbelievably positive response, and they then become the voice of reason for the entire group. Because they're going to let everybody know, listen, this healed me. This saved me. This is what you should do. This is the best way. Meanwhile, these other 90% don't have the correct enzymes, don't have the correct probiotics, don't have the correct digestive juices and fluids to have a vegan diet and be healthy. This is straight from my naturopath, straight from my Chinese medicine doctor who spent 30 years in Asia learning Chinese medicine. That's what they told me. So what happens then is this person who's gone vegan and they think, well, my friend is doing so well, I'm going to stay at vegan. And they just get more and more sick, or it's delayed. They end up burning out those enzymes that they're burning up because all they're eating is vegan. And then that makes them unhealthy a year later. And they think, but this veganism is making me so healthy, I can't leave that. And then they stay in the veganism, thinking it's something else. And it's all misinformation. It's all sourcing from poisons that are being put in the food. Foods that some people are eating that are in their backyard, and those other people are eating tomatoes and vegetables just like their friend, but they're not growing them, so they're poisonous. So that skews your opinion or discrimination, because you're like, I'm eating tomatoes just like you. Why are mine making me sick and yours aren't? And a person who isn't aware doesn't know, well, the tomatoes that are coming to you from the mass farming are all being sprayed with, what is that? A peel. So they're covered in poisons. The point here being, and we'll get to it, the point here being there's no such thing as one size fits all. You will have to figure out for yourself if veganism works for you. You will have to figure out for yourself if carnivore works for you, because every single person is different. And you cannot, and it is unwise to say, well, I did this and it works for me, so it's going to work for all of you. No, because that person might only be able to dissolve carnivore because they've had a specific type of enzyme load their entire life. And so they have a specific way of digestion that works for them, but not for another. And so the wise mind is the one that figures out what works for them. So to answer your question, love, you'll have to find out for yourself. You'll have to find out for yourself. There is no final answer. The person that says the only way is carnivore is lying to you. The person that says the only way is vegan is lying to you. Okay? Those are extremes. You will find a middle ground. You might find that veganism works for you. You might find, heck, man, I went full carnivore, healed all my cancer. Great. It works for you. Fantastic. But that doesn't mean it works for everybody. And if you go to everyone else and say, hey, it healed my cancer, and if you do something different, you're risking yourself because this is what kills cancer, you might be telling that to someone who eats meat. It makes the cancer worse because of their enzymes, because of their probiotics, because of the condition of their pancreas, because of the condition of their stomach and liver, which you can't know, which likely they don't know. You see, it's complicated. So avoid one size fits all type of philosophies. We need to get back to Zen. I'm going to go back to Zen and finish these slides, media assets. Here. How many we got to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. It's 7:09. Good. We will get through all of this today, I am happy to say. This was kind of weird. He looks like, what is the gentleman's name from the 19th century? Aleister Crowley. Isn't it odd how he looks like Aleister Crowley? He's not. This is a good guy. He was a Mahayana scholar. It's just weird how he has that same Aleister Crowley kind of look, but don't let that throw you. That's why I brought it up, so you guys don't think, hey, wait a minute, is that Aleister Crowley? It's not Aleister Crowley. It's a really good guy, a Russian Indologist and Buddhist Mahayana scholar. Okay, 62, the circle of grasping, continuing. How does one not grasp when trying is grasping? The answer from, we read this, sorry. And did we read this? Rational ideas of non-duality. I think I jumped back. Let's look here. Also seeks the hidden. No, I haven't read that yet. Okay, so let me read the highlights here. And then, yeah, I didn't read this. So here. Sunyavata, demolish the belief. Okay, not only does Sunyavata demolish the beliefs which one consciously adopts, it also seeks out the hidden and unconscious premises of thought and action and submits them to the same treatment until the very depths of the mind are reduced to total silence. And as we learned from Dr. Campbell last week, what is the sound that is not made by two things striking together? This is the sound of Om. Om is the sound of the heart. Om is it is the precipitation of which the universe is a manifestation. Om is the silence beneath all of life, the silence that precedes existence and the moment, and then the silence that swallows it thereafter. And this is what composes and disintegrates the world. This is the picture of the void. All things are without self-nature to independent reality, since they exist only in relation to other things. This is that idea of I only know me through you and you know you through me, or one of the ways I know myself is through you and you through me. This is that idea, relationship, relating to one another. Nothing in the universe can stand by itself. No thing. In fact, no being, no event. And for this reason, it is absurd to single anything out as the ideal to be grasped. Since what is defined by what is not, pleasure is defined by pain, life is defined by death, and motion is defined by stillness. Isn't that beautiful? From one point of view, the same relativity exists between nirvana and samsara. Can you see it? Key to see that. Awakening and klesha, right? These arise mutually. They arise mutually. That's why you don't reject the one and hold to the other, or vice versa. They arise mutually. Know them, experience them, observe them, but don't get caught in them. Real nirvana cannot be desired because it cannot be conceived. Makes sense? Page 63, Nagarjuna makes clear that conventions are absurd and they are always defined by their opposite. The mind grasps in the same way as the phrase to be via not to be. The relativity of this has eye-popping implications with opposites, nirvana and samsara, as well as awakening and suffering. These are like poles on a magnet. They mutually arise. They are interdependent. One goes with the other. This is why seeking nirvana evokes samsara. See? Seeking nirvana. See, if I look for it, you can't find it by seeking. You discover it spontaneously. So, seeking nirvana evokes samsara. Do you see the logic there? Do you see it? Seeking attachment evokes separation. This is why when I think I'm forgiven and I'm now united with God, all I have done is evoked the ideas of separation because I have submitted myself to needing to be forgiven. And therefore, my awareness is only in measure to the sins I commit because that provides the greatest forgiveness. The worse deeds I do, the more I'm forgiven. So it's a bad idea to seek attachment because that evokes separation. When I am seeking attachment to God through forgiveness, I am only evoking the unawareness, the separation, because I think I need to do that, because I think I need it. It's the same thing with the person who's seeking nirvana. They think they need to rid of the self in the same way the Christian thinks. They think they have to integrate forgiveness in order to have this realization, not realizing you're caught up in the mechanics, friend, and you'll never have that spiritual experience, that spiritual relation tied into, grasping onto the material world. This is what this is pointing to. Seeking seeking fullness evokes hunger, as these are mutually arising energies. Even the Heart Sutra, the most famous Mahayana chant, claims emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Opposites converge, so chasing one amplifies its shadow. This is why running from fear is the experience of fear. Demanding love is the experience of emptiness. You must love your neighbor. That's the experience of emptiness because love can't be demanded. You see, trying to be well is the experience of being sick. Holistic acceptance liberates these ceaseless attempts at trying. This is why you know trying is useless. Liberation moves beyond behavioral cages by seeing what is not seen. Humanistic awareness supersedes the dogmas by realizing without trying. Mahayana Buddhism is not an arcane philosophical edifice, but a dynamic, psychologically astute response to the quest for liberation. At its core, Chapter 3 teaches that the Buddha's original path rooted in the diligence-oriented Pali Canon. There it is. Diligence, wrong direction, revealed an inherent paradox. To try not to try is trying. To claim realizing nirvana is to admit not realizing nirvana. Mahayana, this is what the Buddha realized under the Bo tree. Mahayana deftly unravels these paradoxes through what Buddhists call skillful means, or upaya. And Chapter 3 outlines this. We've been talking about that endlessly. Zen is a tradition that refuses to intellectualize enlightenment into a system of abstract truths. It offers upaya to dissolve the very illusions that bind us. So nirvana is not a distant prize to be seized or a goal to attain. Please hear that, workaholics. Nirvana is not a distant prize to be seized or goal to attain, but an ever-present suchness, tathata, the true state of reality obscured only by our compulsive grasping. Do you realize that it is your compulsive grasping that keeps you from seeing the true state? It's all on us, baby. Psychologically, Zen unveils the double bind of ego striving. To kill ego is to kill identity, and therefore the empowerment that comes from knowing who we are and the wisdom that comes from experience. The only truth that can be known. Do you see? To kill the ego is to kill identity. You see it, guys? And therefore the empowerment that comes from knowing who we are. The only truth that can be known. Watts suggests applying this common sense by coalescing with spontaneous flow of life, where compassion arises naturally by seeing the world's interconnectedness and voidness simultaneously. That's why you run after that kid, because you see yourself in them. Chapter 3's major thrust is the contrasting of Mahayana's great vehicle with the Pali Canon's little vehicle, not in superiority, but in scope. Simply put, the Pali Canon carries an unspoken paradox, the vicious circle of desiring not to desire, where rigorous self-control unwittingly reinforces the ego it seeks to transcend. Did you catch that? The vicious circle of desiring not to desire, where rigorous self-control unwittingly reinforces the ego it seeks to transcend. That is gold. Mahayana exposes this as a upaya in and of itself. That's why it's gold. A deliberate confrontation with futility to provoke deeper insight. Bam. Bam. A deliberate confrontation with futility to provoke deeper insight. Brilliant. This is called in the West making lemonade out of lemons. Also central to this is the Bodhisattva ideal, evolving from a mere potential Buddha to a higher archetype than the Arhat, the attained one who realizes personal nirvana. In the Pali Canon, Arhats withdraw from samsara, which Mahayana deems as almost selfish. Strong words there. Strong words for the Pali Canonist. Strong words. The Arhats withdraw from samsara, which Mahayana deems as almost selfish and suitable only for the theatrical hearer. Ouch. Ouch. This is what Mahayana is saying about the Hinayana. Brutal. The Bodhisattva, by contrast, vows to forego final nirvana until all beings awaken, reincarnating endlessly till every grass blade and dust particle have awakened. From the devotional lens, this selfishness fosters bhakti, devotion to savior figures. I mean, what's the West? The Bodhisattva liberates vast, innumerable beings, yet in truth, no being has been liberated, for no true Bodhisattva clings to an ego, personality, or separateness. This dissolving the attainment paradox. See, it dissolves the attainment paradox. Remember I said, guys, there's nothing to attain. There's no goal to set. This dissolved the attainment paradox. If nirvana is the ceasing to grasp reality's ungraspable nature, grasping nirvana is absurd. And that's why you hear the words of the Mahayanist to the Hinayanist. These are only suitable for theatrical hearers. Ouch. Thus, bondage, this is the freeing aspect, folks. This is the gold. Thus, bondage in samsara is illusory, for we are in nirvana. There it is. It's nirvana being expressed in the same way the 3D reality we experience is nirvana being expressed in this smaller density. Nothing to call shameful, nothing to call hateful, nothing to call fallen. It's beautiful. It's like a book or a song that comes out of you and someone says, well, because it came out of you, it's not beautiful. Do you see? That's crazy. That's crazy. This reality, this dualism, this ego comes out of the void. It's beautiful. Learn to appreciate it, learn to love and navigate it without getting caught in it. And my friend, you will have a wondrous experience. And seeking it is the same folly as looking for your glasses while wearing them or asking God to make a rock he can't lift. These are preposterous oversights of an ego-concerned mind. One of my favorite slides tonight. Grasping stems from dualistic obsession, where each defines the others rationally. A penny in right hand, none in the left. Being and not being, pleasure and pain. Being cannot be conceived without its shadow. Please hear that. Life cannot be conceived without death. That's why you know that you're alive, because you know death is coming to you. This makes life life, makes death death. Do you see? We must have these shadows. Don't get caught in them. That's the key. Don't get caught in the idea. This is getting caught in it. Getting caught in the idea of, oh my gosh, when I die, if I don't go to the light, then I'm lost. I'm lost. I have to have the light. You're caught. There must be a shadow, the opposite, for you to understand, and realizing that there is light and there is darkness. Do not get caught in either. Do not get caught in either. Relax and let these things unfold as you exit the body and go into the afterlife. Don't panic. Stay calm. Realize the same calmness that you have here in the midst of this chaos, which is living life, is the same kind of chaos, unknown, discoverable world you're going to. Be prepared for that. Be prepared for that in this life, which is what the Buddhist monks are all doing, which is what the psychonauts are doing. They're preparing for that event. That's called the wise mind, not consumed in it. Prepared. You're always ready. Like if I died right now, I'm ready. I'm not holding to anything. There's not anything in life I have to have. There's not anything in life that's like, I wouldn't be able to exist without it. Ready. Ready to go. If now's the time, now's the time. Now's the time. You see, this is the person who is realized through the idea of the shadow, personal experiences of others, observance, and realizing this larger and larger picture. In Nagarjuna's doctrine of the void, sunyata, all grasping, even for nirvana, is futile, for nothing possesses self-nature because there is no self. Everything simply interdepends. You guys know that now. This renders ideals, beliefs, and ambitions as insubstantial as mist. The middle way refutes all metaphysics via relativity. Everything is related to everything else. Emptiness is form. This demolishes conscious and unconscious premises until the very depths of the mind are reduced to total silence. There's your piece. There's your piece. It cannot be called void or not void, both or neither, this or that, here or there. Far from nihilism, this dialectic shatters the vicious circle of naming identity, yielding natural and uncontrived bliss, ananda. Psychologically, it is a purging of the anxiety Psychologically, it is a purging of the anxiety and grasping. The ripening of consciousness drops constraints, unveiling, and I love this, an epic Yogi Berra truth. You ready? You ready? Here you go. To be spontaneous is to be spontaneous. Isn't that great? Yogi Berra, you can observe a lot by watching. I love this stuff. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. And see, this is what I'm pointing at, is the common sense. The common sense. That, of course, if I choose a side, I become the side. And the whole idea of being a human is to be balanced. The whole idea is just this middle way, this ease of flowing with things and absolutely having your personality, your presence there, your art, your gifts, your likes, your not likes, absolutely, but allowing all these things to interdepend and grow together. There's no anxiety in that space. There is no anxiety in that space. That's the exact space my lives and what I've been doing with you guys has grown out of. I had no plan when I started. I had never done live in my life with an audience. I mean, I'd never done any of that ever. I didn't even know what it was like to do these presentations without a video editor and being able to sit in my video room and be able to edit it so that I said just the right stuff. I was like, what if I say something crazy? I mean, what if I say something that I don't even believe myself? And now it's recorded and people hear it for all of history. What then? It was a total unknown, filled with all kinds of traps and so on and so forth. And I just gave myself to it because I was granted that from you guys because you guys gave to my GoFundMe. And I was like, okay, well, if they're going to fund it, I'm just going to go for it. And that was it. Just go for it. There was no goal. I wasn't trying to get anywhere. It was just, okay, this will work. I'm just going to run with it. And see, this is it. That's it. This is the way of life, being spontaneous and allowing the thing to just grow with you. And you guys have grown with me. It's been absolutely spectacular, beautiful. I mean, has it not? We've been doing this whole thing together, guys. Paradoxically, then, negation births affirmation via tathata. Tathata, suchness or thusness, and is Watt's evocative term for reality unscreened by symbols. Tathagata, the one thus come, awakened to this nonverbal realm that underlies and inspires duality, and yet is beyond dualities like good, bad, or past and future. Suchness neither becomes nor ceases, is neither impure nor is pure. All beings share this characteristic, and in the East it is called Buddha nature, personified in devotional Buddhas like Amitabha, yet always our true original nature. In the West, it is called Christ consciousness. See? That's you, Christ consciousness. And this has been put into figures like Jesus, exactly, into forms, Osiris, Mithra, and other saints. Pure Land faith, repeating the chant, Namo Amitabha. Remember that when I told you guys, Namo Amitabha, graphically enacts this. Buddhahood requires no effort, and there it is, requires no effort. As striving denies awakening, grasping is anxiety. In the same way prayer rejects oneness, prayer insists separation. Do you get that? Do you get that? It's important to get that. It's a separate, remember, right? You're seeking outside yourself, or meditation denies this. By denial, denial implies the self. You see, they both have catches. Don't get caught in either. Don't get caught in either. Compassion, karuna, blooms from prajna, intuitive wisdom. Seeing form is void, evokes pity for the ignorant. Affirming form, void is form, is a celebration of the world's uniqueness. This non-dual embrace debunks Buddhism as world denier and inspires naturalism as a result. The imagery in nature dawns a spider web of reflecting dewdrops, and this captures the universe as interrelated thing events, the Dharma, whereby all drops, like life events, here it is, reflect all other drops and events. We find truth through such patterns. It looks like you guys are dying on the vine. We will continue this next week at the paradox of the path. I've got 3 slides left, but I think you guys are exhausted. People are dropping out of the lives. I think folks are tired. Let's spend the rest of our time together talking. I'm going to go to comments, and we'll come back here, and then we'll get right into chapter 4 next week, and we'll go at this accelerated pace that we're doing here. Let's go to, get me out of this here. There. Good. I'm glad I answered your questions. Yeah. Now I'm going to go to the bottom where it says new comments, because there's over 100. So right at the bottom, what was that about meditation? Yeah, the thing about meditation was the fact here. Here, great question. Oops, sorry, hang on. Okay. Graphically enacts this, Buddhahood requires no effort, as striving denies awakening. In the same way, prayer rejects oneness, or meditation denies the self. You see, because what is the Hinayana Buddhist attempting? They're attempting to remove the self, rid of the self, right? Because there is no self. The self, the idea of the self, is an illusion. And so the Hinayanist thinks that if I rid of the self, you see, then I'm getting back to origin. No distraction. Okay, and so what the Mahayana says is that, well, when you try to get rid of the self, you see, you're just enacting that there's a self, because you're claiming that it's there to get rid of. You see, you're caught in your own loop. And so that's the catch. With prayer, the catch is, I think that the power is outside of me. I have to pray to it. I have to ask it. I have to beg it. Because it's not in me. And it's the same kind of disillusion that's happening in the Buddhist, because they're trying to rid of something that doesn't exist but is essential to wisdom. And then the Christian is trying to reach to something as though there's nothing inside there. Both are illusory. That's what I'm attempting here with Zen, is to show you this semi-heretical version, which integrates flow, which integrates the idea of a loosely held self, which is sacrilege. That's Zen sacrilege. But my argument is the only way I can attain or realize wisdom, the only way that I can have experience, is with other. That's why I learn myself through you. You learn yourself through me. There must be contrast. If I was out in space and the only thing that existed was a planet, and I was out in space, there's nothing to compare it to. How do I know if that planet is the size of my thumb or the size of the sun? There's nothing to compare it to. I don't know anything. If I get closer to it, it gets bigger. Yeah, maybe. But I don't have anything to compare it to if even I'm not there. You see, and that is what these disciplines, quote unquote, are rendering. There's some viability there, but it's very limited. The real meat is the inspiration, the spontaneity, the not trying. The not trying. And simply this walking Zen idea. I'm in a state of meditation, but I am participating in the world. And by participating in the world, I learn from it, but I'm not caught in it. To me, that's Quan. If you want to know my opinion where I land with this, it's that. It's not the thinking that it's outside of you like prayer. It's not the elimination of the self like in Buddhism. It's a combination of the two. The realizing that the experience, the stuff that I'm experiencing around and about me, is just as important as the experience of releasing my identity, because I don't get caught in it. This is the bigger picture I'm attempting here. This is why, quote unquote, my Zen or my way of taking this stuff apart is radical. It doesn't follow the rules. I'm not obeying Zen to the letter of the law in doing this, what I'm showing you guys. That's why watching me will offer you more than just reading the book from Alan, because I'm not even fully aligned to the principles in the book, which hardcore Zen is. There's no self, pal. And any pursuit of that or any recognition of that is a delusion. Yeah, and I just have a strong counter to that. So that's what I bring to the that's what I can bring to you that other people aren't going to be able to bring to you, because this is my opinion. I'm sharing with you what makes complete sense to me. Here, my mom once said she achieved the light when she gave up on trying to see it. Took her 3 years. Lines up with what you said. So if you're looking for Nirvana, you're going in with the wrong mentality. Yes. You're going into the meditative state not to achieve something, key, not to achieve something, but to experience something. Because you're experiencing wonder, so it's not even a something. But the reason you're going into meditation is to experience something. You see, there's nothing to find. There's nothing to seek, because it's all around you. The center's everywhere, the circumference is nowhere. So if you think there's something to find, you're already deluded in the same way they think a person thinks they got to kill their ego. The point of the experience is the experience, the spontaneity of it, the incredibleness of it. That's it. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. Make sense? What do you guys think? Chuck, what are your thoughts about using biofeedback for meditation training? Headband sensors? Okay. So there you're getting into that whole headspace of hemisync. Now, hemisync, hemisync uses phase and amplitude between your ears to begin to place your brain into a waveform state. And the theory, according to the inventor, Robert, what was his name? I will tell you his name. It's important for you to know this. If Forky knows, review changes. Okay. Cancel. Okay. So his name was, I'm going to read it to you right here. Sorry. Zen. Here. Robert Monroe. That's his name. Robert Monroe. And Robert Monroe did a whole bunch of studies on hemisync. And I got to tell you, my friend, it works. But here's my hesitancy with it. So it puts your brain into that state, but you haven't walked into that state through a progression of your own awareness. You're augmenting into that state through electronic means, and this is where it causes me reservation. You're entering into that deeper space, but you're using this technique of putting sounds in your ears in certain patterns and in certain ways to essentially force your brain into that resonance. And in my opinion, you're better off realizing that resonance through your own meditation without having some type of electronic gizmo to get you there. Because I always feel like with that electronic gizmo introduced, you're moving into this technological aspect, and you really aren't a technical being, so to speak. You're not a machine. You're a being. You're a living organism. You would never call a robot, a technical object, a being. It's a robot. It's a machine. A being has inherent, innate consciousness. I mean, even AI doesn't have that. And so there's a real factor when you're walking into these spiritual realms to be very careful what kind of technology you're putting in there, because you don't want it to carry you to a space that isn't natural. That you don't want it to carry you to a space that you've gotten there synthetically, because this is meditation. And I just think that there's some resonant frequencies that are involved with technology that aren't real conducive. Now, with that said, you absolutely can use that biofeedback, and it absolutely will accelerate you in, and you will be able to have an out-of-body experience with it. You will. It works. Robert Monroe, I've read a bunch of stuff on it. He's the one that developed the term loosh. You guys that are familiar with that, that's the fruiting of the spirit, of the human spirit. Our fruit is called loosh, and loosh can be positive energy that's coming out of you, like what happens at a rock concert, or some event you're out with a bunch of friends and having a great time. You're generating the fruits of loosh, and that's this positive spirit that everyone experiences. And then there's also negative loosh, which is what the Satanists and the demons eat, which is this spirit that's exuding from you that's negative in its course and in its energy. And so this meditation, these frequencies, these states of mind can carry you anywhere. So just be very careful. Just be very careful. And it does work. Yeah, the Rh negative bloodlines are the ones that are the satanic bloodlines. I've been studying since 2011, and it's one of the biggest secrets for sure. I think we are hybrids. We are. Listen, it's okay, Truth Assassin, that we're hybrids. Okay? Don't degrade the machinery. Okay? Don't degrade the body. This is what we got. You got to work with it. Okay? Let's appreciate it. Yeah, we were altered, and I go into that in Khazarian Mafia Part 2. We were altered from our original state. Our DNA was changed, which literally changes how we form. When you change the blueprint, the DNA, which tells the cells and the enzymes and everything how to make, what you're going to make here, this being that you're going to make, okay, that process was adulterated. The second chromosome was fused. Believe it or not, it's that second fuse of the chromosome that actually builds our brain, the whole frontal cortex here. So that we don't just develop a reptilian brain, we develop a neocortex. That comes out of that second chromosome. Now it's your neocortex that is the one that gives you the higher consciousness, because that's your antenna that clues into the great consciousness that we clue into, okay? And so when they did these genetic changes, there were blood types that came out of them. And these blood types point towards certain types of personalities, certain types of bents in that individual. They're prone certain directions due to the makeup, the content that's in that Rh negative. And so that Rh negative is a carrier of that type of personality, that type of person, that type of bent, that type of developmental direction that is unique to that RH. And so in the same way your environment affects your personality and development, your blood typing also has effect on those types of things. And so they have done a very hard search to find those people so that they can utilize them in their system. That's the story behind that. Yeah, no expectation. No expectation. I'm sorry if I said expectation. That's one of the problems of doing this live. Sometimes, and you guys have heard me say it 1,000 times, I'll read a word that isn't the word that's on the page. I do it all the time. I'll say something that isn't on the page, and I'll mispronounce something. I think I will be saying, something that refers to something else, meaning something else. Sorry, I don't have an example right now. I'm pretty mentally exhausted, but sorry if I said that and confused you. Yes, you have to let it happen. Chuck, I love the story about Mio and the baby. Thank you so much. Appreciate it for you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's extreme. I know it's extreme. I understand completely that if you were accused of being the father of a child and you were losing your reputation and so on and so forth, it would be pretty quiet. It would be pretty hard to just accept that. But it's an example. It's to show you an extreme example of the nonplussed state, that actually is achievable. And yes, it can be done. One question I never understood: if one person truly achieved nirvana, why doesn't everybody else immediately attain enlightenment at the exact same moment in time if we are all one? Because your source is one, your expression is unique. The source of your life is one. What sources your life, Mookie, is the same source of my life, is the same source of life of the tree just outside your window, is the same source of life as the sun you see in the sky or the moon you see shining. The source of life is the same that causes the tides, the electromagnetism that brings about the tides. Okay? And so there are different expressions of that magnetism, of that electromagnetism. Your body is an expression of it. The ocean is an expression of it. The sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the trees, your neighbors. These are all expressions. You see, they're all unique. Because I'm not a tree in the sense of a physical tree, but I am the tree in the sense of my identity. My identity is the same as the tree. We both have the same source, but how we express that source is unique. And that's the beauty of life. And the true beauty, the true incredible experience is realizing your differences, your uniquenesses, while also at the same time recognizing your oneness. The part that cannot be split, cannot be taken apart. Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. You got it, Linda. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't know why. I don't know why. I absolutely love how you answered that. You've done nothing but open my mind. That is so freaking beautiful. Thank you. I love your soul. Thank you for the responses. You're welcome, man. It is my pleasure. And thank you. Yeah, thank you for Raw Runo. That's it. Thank you so much. You guys about done? I'm about done. It's been a good night. 7:45. Chuck, meditation is a human superpower. Yeah. And I think that is why the elite technocrats want to distract it. Yeah, and I'm really sorry if you've gotten the impression that I'm saying that meditation isn't a good thing. It is a good thing. I'm saying that. Don't get entangled in the assumptions about it. Okay? Don't get entangled in the assumption, well, I meditate to lose the self or to give it. No. We meditate to find center. In other words, to become the center. To become that oneness without block, with no Maya. So if you can realize that through meditation, great. I'm not saying that all meditation is bad. I'm saying that if you're meditating with the goal of nirvana, you've missed the point. If you're praying to God with the goal that God is going to come save you, you've missed the point. You save yourself. You identify your uniqueness through the self. Sorry. And I'm not saying that to you, Gretchen. I'm saying that to Zen. Sorry, Zen. Sorry, Buddhism, whatever. But the ego is very important to experience, but not to get entangled. There's nothing wrong with prayer if you're not praying with the thought of, I'm lacking something and I need to reach for it. If prayer is just another meditation, fine. But If you're asking permission, seeking approval, or expecting reproof while you're praying, you've missed the point. That's what I'm saying, Gretchen. That's what I'm saying. There's viability in both. Don't get entangled. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I hope that's. I'm going to the bottom because I'm going to find out if people see this. Yes, it is within you. The kingdom of the Father is within every individual, but they do not see it. And they do not see it from the conflicts in their mind, from the assumptions about the world, about God, about life in their mind, assumptions that have been put into you. That's why they say you want the mind of a child, because the mind of a child doesn't have all those assumptions yet. And so every morning when they wake up, they're filled with bliss and spontaneity because everything is a surprise and everything is amazing. Yeah? Good. Yeah, I love you too, Fortune. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm exhausted myself. I love you guys so much. I love being with you. And after the night ends and I finish these things, I'm always on a super big rush. I'm super exhausted mentally, but I have this energy in my body that I think is coming from you guys that I get a charge of. And it's awesome. That was one thing I didn't expect when I started doing this, is I never thought that the energy that would return back to me would be so powerful. And I mean, you guys saw me at the beginning of the night when the energy was just pouring out. I mean, I'm reading these words from you guys, and I mean, it's like power is filling me. It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling. And really, and the thing I love about it is that it isn't because you guys just like, yes, Chuck, we believe you, Chuck, yes, Chuck, but you guys are coming back with your own interpretations, your own understandings that coincide, and you're totally growing with me. You don't see me as like this figure, but you see me as a friend there with you. And I just love that so much. I want that so much. I don't want to be this hierarchical figure. I don't want to be, this person on the stage. I want to be right in there with you in the crowd, in the foxhole doing it. That's what I want. I want to be in the foxhole with you. And that's what I feel like in this chat. That's what I feel. That's a connection I feel with you guys in the chat, because I'm not just seeing a bunch of folks just blasting out a bunch of real negative stuff. You guys really care. And it really means a lot. It really means a lot. It really means a lot. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jay. I know a few comments we'll get through that are not nice. I'm sorry, but that will happen. It's just part of it. Thank you. I promise I will never betray your trust. I will always tell you the truth as best as I can, as the best as I know it. Okay, I published myself, so you can't buy my book, but it's offered for free. And you can go on YouTube and go to my page. And if you just simply type in Elucidating Christianity, or go to my playlist page, I have it listed, and all the chapters are in order. And you can hit the play button on number 1, and it will play through the chapters, the vignettes. I wrote it as a set of vignettes. And then you can play the whole thing through for free right in your own house. Thank you. I appreciate it. You don't have to buy it. It's free. You can have it for free. And if you go to my YouTube page, you'll find it. Love you too, King. Love you too so much. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Any last questions before I bail? I'm right at the bottom with you. We're about 100 people less than we were earlier, so now's a chance to catch me. Blessings and favors shall monsoon upon you and yours. Thank brother and Chuck. Thank you so much, Johnny Come Lately. I like that. Thank you. Thank you. Love others. Give yourself away. Give yourself away. You'll experience it. You'll experience it. True that. Thank you, Stacey. I appreciate it, guys. What a high. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we're done. Thank you. It is. Thank you. I'll see you next week. I've got a postlude for you. I've got an outro. We'll listen to Bach as we go. Love you guys. There's no better music to listen to right now. Here we go.